Прийшли окупанти до нас в Україну, форма новенька, воєнні машини та трохи поплавився їх інвентар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Російські танкісти сховались з кущі, щоб лаптем посьорбати довбані щі, та трохи у чах перегрівся навар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Приперли зі сходу до нас барани для восстановлення
великої страни.
Найкращий пастух баранячий хотар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Їх доводи всяке озброєння різне, потужні ракети, машини залізні, у нас на всі доводи є коментар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Вони захопити хотіли нас зразу, а ми зачаїли на орків образу з російських бандитів, робить примар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Російська поліція справи заводить, там вбивцю рашистів ніяк не знаходить, хто винен, що в нашому полі глухар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Веде пропаганду кремлівський урод, слова пропаганди ковтає народ, тепер нове слово знає цар.
Байрактар.
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 Yes.
The Lviv Street Army sends its regards.
everyone, I'm the Enforcer, and I'm accompanied by Enforcer Matt.
And good evening, folks. It's Enforcer Matt, like always, and welcome back to day 296 of the news, and it's good to see you all in the chat once again.
And of course, we're going to be reporting on the past 24 hours of the news of the war in Ukraine, and the beginning of a brand new week. It is the beginning of whatever week this is. I gotta be honest with you all. I've lost count of the weeks at this point, but we're getting very close to the end of the year, and we are now only 4 days away from day 300 of the war in Ukraine. And we've actually decided a little bit of a change to our original plan. A lot of y'all, if y'all were here the night we said this, would know that we were planning on having a day 300 stream. But to hype this up a little bit in advance, Matthew has made another video, and it will be coming out this Monday as a premiere at 10 p.m. Eastern Time in replacement of the live stream. It's going to be about 5 minutes long, so make sure to get on and be in the waiting room before it actually airs, because it's going to be so short, especially compared to a stream. If you're not there, you're going to miss it as a premiere. So make sure to show up, but it is a really good video. I've already seen a little bit of it, of course, and it was top-notch. Matthew makes some really well-edited videos, some really good stuff, and I gotta say, I can't wait to see what everyone thinks about it when it premieres on Monday. And so with that, it's now time for us to get to the breaking news of the night. And I actually didn't include it as a piece of news on this map. I'm gonna pull it up real quick. Russia attacks Kyiv again. If you type this up, you'll see that some very reputable news sources like the Daily Mail, along with the Guardian, some of the absolute pinnacles of news reporting and coverage all around the world are starting to step in and say that Russia will attack Kyiv again. So we're going to go to the Daily Mail, and once again, everyone remember the Daily Mail is, of course, top-notch news. And if you can't hear the sarcasm in my voice, that is sarcasm. So we're going to be moving down, and I was looking at this, and I found this to be somewhat odd. It says, I have no doubt Russia will have another go at Kyiv. Putin is building a 200,000-man army, and look at all the ads loaded in. Like, they all loaded in. Golly, look, they just get... Anyways, a 200,000-man army for a second attack on Ukraine's capital. Yeah, that could start within weeks, country's top general warns. Valery Zelensky, head of the Ukrainian armed forces, believes Putin is currently building a new 200,000-man army somewhere deep in Russia. It'll be used to mount another attack on Kyiv, possibly in January, Zelensky said. With 300 tanks, 600 armored vehicles, and 500 howitzers, Zelensky believes that he can not only stop the assault, but he can push Russia back to pre-invasion lines. Now, real quick, oh my god, there are so many ads. Oh, there's some pictures here, but the ads are unbelievable on the Daily Mail. I wonder how much money they make per view on ads alone. They're running like 20 ads in just one frame right here, in one spot. Jesus. Anyways, let's see, preparing new resources, we must prepare, which may begin in February, at best in March, and at worst at the end of January. And then we can see, let's see, oh, wait a minute, this is top level clickbait right here. Y'all see this picture, Matthew? That looks like a lot of forces building up on the Ukrainian border again this winter to launch near Kyiv. But if you read the caption, it says Putin's original army before he invaded in February.
Oh,
so
that's so lame.
Yeah, so they're not even using a real picture of what's built up on the border right now. They're using some other picture from some other place. And this is something very important to me because I labeled this stream tonight so that way I could draw in a load of viewers and explain this to y'all. This is probably not going to happen. And of course I can always be proven wrong because, you know, the world doesn't, I don't dictate how the world works, so I can always be wrong. But, you know, you've got the Guardian and the Daily Mail, which are tabloids for the large part, reporting on what's going to be happening here in the future, and they're the only ones who have made this statement. And also, if you look at the numbers are just way off. 200,000 men supported by only 300 tanks and 600 APCs? Like, what the hell? Like, that is 30 BTGs worth of tanks for 200,000 men. And if you crunch that number right there, because each BTG has 800 men in it, and you multiply that by 30, that means that less than 10% of this supposed invasion force is going to be comprised of actual battalion tactical groups. Only 10% of it. The other 90% have no kind of structure whatsoever. Either their structure is based entirely at the brigade level or the division level, or something way larger, which isn't really even usable in a modern war. And that's something that I'm having a massive problem with here. And on top of that, the ratio of tanks to APCs shows that these aren't even going to be integrated into APCs based off these numbers. 600 armored vehicles, you would need 900 armored vehicles to raise 30 BTGs entirely, and you would need a lot more artillery than 500 howitzers to support 200,000 guys. And if these numbers are true, that means that the entire Russian army, if they invade from the north again, this supposed 200,000 man army, they're going to be supported with practically nothing. It's going to be an entirely infantry-based invasion, which will go poorly. You can blow away infantry. You can sweep them off the field with a machine gun, with drones, with artillery, anything. Infantry is the easiest thing to sweep aside, although it's the backbone of every single military in the world, especially if they're going to be this poorly equipped and this poorly supported. And I'm just...
And look, if they did try to invade a second time with a 200,000 man army, they're going to be worse trained than the first time because they've killed off all their people that were halfway competent. Now they're getting conscripts and all these people that have no clue what's going on and literally get no training.
Wait a minute, hang on, real quick, actually. Someone just pointed something out. Someone actually said that I misread this, and they are correct. This is actually what the Ukrainians say they need to push the Russians back. So let's read the article really quickly again, to make sure that we can see if there's any kind of numbers as to what kind of tank support they have. The Russians have, at least, so that way we can see if they are all going to be BTGs, supposedly, or not. And this article is... Oh, now we're reaching the ads. The rest of this page is literally ads. And look at the cursor over there! We've literally only reached 10% of this actual news page. The rest of this is ads. Nothing but ads. That is insane. But they're not even giving us any numbers as to what the Russian force will be composed of, and based off of our already initial numbers off of Russian casualties that have been confirmed on picture, the Russians probably don't have enough tanks that they can even pull out of storage to provide a fighting force for another 200,000 men. They don't. It's not around anymore. I'm seriously trying to think how in the world that could even work, and I'm trying to think from a Russian perspective, you know, resource-wise, manpower-wise, if I was a Russian general, how would this work? And as far as we know, there isn't any tanks really left. If there were, they would be T-62Ms. If they had any artillery left, it's really non-existent, but maybe you could pull out some D-20s and some D-30s and maybe come up with some artillery. Armored personnel carriers, there's probably plenty of those. Honestly, the Ukrainians have only shipped about a third of the APC force away, so there's plenty of APCs, but tanks and artillery is something that we know is running in short supply, and something I'm very... on like the side of not really believing. Also, on top of that, going back to our map and looking at this, and let me go back here, and let me see if I can actually just input the first, like, week of the war. Can I do that? Oh, I can! Oh, nice! Okay, so let's go to the very early phase of the war. Oh, it only goes back to April, so we'll go to April 5th. And they only had written reports then?
And shout out to Deep State, too, for, like, creating such a versatile map. Is Deep State sponsored by the Ukrainian government, or is it independent?
I think it's independent.
That's pretty good what they've done with the map and like all the features on it.
It is absolutely impressive, and we're going to go to 7:30 a.m. in the morning, and you can see that all of these areas were just liberated on April 3rd, and we could go back to our map and show that as well, but Deep State is the one we're using now because it's just better. Like, there's no lie, it's just better. But it's something that they're not going to do again, at least in my opinion. They've already been defeated in this area. They already pushed 50 miles south to Kyiv and then were routed back out of the country. So it wouldn't make any sense to send in 200,000 guys to try and recapture this massive swath of land that they had already failed to push, and then they put all of their eggs into the southeastern basket and hope that that would eventually produce some kind of result, and it never did. And so I don't think they're going to be doing that. And also, they don't have the kind of surprise nor the initiative that they had at the onset of the war either, going for their advantage. They don't have that anymore. The Ukrainians would be ready for this assault even before it crossed the border. And so I got to be honest with y'all. I'm completely skeptical about this entire push. I don't really think it's going to happen, at least in my opinion. But we'll just have to wait and see. But once again, I want everyone to think, because I feel like this is going to be the new mega fear, the mega threat coming around in the future. Belarus has been coming around every month, as y'all know on this channel, as the boogeyman. Oh, they're coming. They're going to be invading any day now. And they don't. Oh, look, it's going to fast forward through all time. Oh my god, we do not have time for that. Let me just go back to the present day, to today. Right there. But anyways, I just don't think it's going to happen. It's probably not. They don't have enough equipment to support these troops. They don't have the logistical forces to support 200,000 additional troops in the theater. The combat density would be so thick that these troops would literally just be swept away like a broom sweeping dirt off the floor. It's just something I'm very skeptical about. It can happen, of course. The Russians are not the smartest people in the world. They don't really work off of logic. So it could happen again. I don't know, but I'm still very skeptical about it. And if y'all would like to discuss it and maybe counter that, please feel free to do so in the live chat and explain why you think it would be different, or if you agree with me. Because I would be interested to see what a lot of people are thinking about that, and maybe we can run a poll on it as well. Hint, 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 nudge, nudge. But anyways...
Oh, that's weird. A poll just went up that quick.
Oh, that's...
I'm getting really quick at typing them.
Dang, like, Matthew's got, like, 5 hands. Like, he's just, like, typing at, like, the speed of sound. Anyways, we're now going to be moving into Russia. Because things are getting worse, even. Y'all wouldn't believe it, they really are getting worse. We actually got to see some Russian war ads on TV. I gotta show you these, because they're crazy. So, here we go. And also, let me see. Okay, 240p is the best it gets. So, without further ado, here's the video.
Что появляются первые опыты визуализации этих предложений. Действительно, есть уже несколько агитационных роликов. Что-то представляет, на мой взгляд, интерес. Давайте вот мы с них начнем.
Уезжаете куда?
В Грузию, ну совсем.
Да, мальчики уехали, мужчины остались.
Удастся ли такими роликами...
What? What? What is this commercial?
What are we watching exactly?
I don't even know. Like, what was this commercial? What was the aim? I don't even know.
I have no idea. It's filmed like a movie, though.
Надавить на совесть уезжающих неизвестно. Просмотров
Oh my god, he ran over an orange. How evil.
20 тысяч, а в комментариях соревнования в остроумии.
Тронуло до глубины души. Вернул билет, пошел в магаз за броником и страйкболовым шлемом.
А где гарантии, что те, кто помогли, не улетают вечерним рейсом?
Призывает записаться в добровольцы, чтобы стать настоящим мужиком. Вот такой ролик. В нем создатели давят на прагматизм, ведь участникам спецоперации положено множество плюшек от государства.
So this ad's a little bit different. This one's actually talking about what kind of benefits you can get from joining the Russian army. I wonder what kind of benefits you can get. Let's watch.
Радовался. Теперь у него зарплата, о которой он раньше и не мечтал. Новая профессия, новые друзья.
Oh, he's got a killer salary. He's got new profession, new friends, and career growth. Let's break each one down. The salary he couldn't dream about earlier is being stolen by his commissar, so he'll probably never see it, but at least the commissar is getting fat off of his labor. New profession. Yes, the new profession of being cannon fodder. It's a great thing, and they don't really explain what's so good about the new profession. They just say it's a new one. Pretty interesting. New friends. Like, what in the world does it matter? New friends. Like, what? Some guy who's going to punch you in the face while y'all are both sitting in a foxhole as a drone watches you? And then career growth. And the only way that career growth is happening because your commanding officer, your sergeant, or something similar got his head blown off. So now you get promoted because he's dead. That's the only career growth they'll be being had anywhere in the war.
Also, a nice side effect of the job, you get KGB contacts automatically.
you get
Not the type of contact you want, though.
You get that special kind of sledgehammer contact from the Wagner group if you ever do anything they don't like, too.
Карьерный рост. Бесплатное лечение для себя.
Free medical treatment. Oh,
when you get injured,
you know,
they leave you behind it. Actually,
I got to say this, Matthew. You know, this is actually something that a lot of recruiters say in the U.S. Oh, you get benefits, you get free medical treatment, and you know the VA takes care of you after you're out of the military. And everyone already knows this is just a proven fact that the VA in the United States doesn't really help out much, and they usually try and not.
Gotten better.
What?
It's gotten better recently.
It's gotten a little bit better, but there's still a long way to go, and hopefully it does improve in the future. But free medical treatment in Russia? Is this like a joke or something? What kind of medical treatment do you get in Russia? Like a freaking amputation? Like their medical industry is like decades behind, you know, especially without Western equipment and support. So what kind of medical treatment is this guy going to be getting rather than like some aspirin? And then let's see, state benefits. Okay. Like sunflower, you know, like when you get wounded, Matthew, those pictures of the guys with the sunflower seed oil and all that stuff. State benefits right there. And I like this one, Matthew, how this is worded. And the veteran ID. The veteran ID. Like there's a singular one that everyone shares in the country.
That's nice. That's like how they're supposed to provide state benefits if they can't provide basic needs to normal citizens.
We're about to get to in a second, if y'all stick around, we're about to get to in a second the state benefits that they're now giving out. It's gotten worse from yesterday, actually.
От государства. А также статус ветерана боевых действий. А значит, уважение. Саша, молодец. Будь как Саша.
What? Sasha
he got himself
great.
A girl.
Yeah, he pulled himself a girl from the club. Sasha is great. Be like Sasha. What a stupid, simple message at the end. Sasha is amazing. Be like Sasha. Come on. This is cheap.
Саша.
Еще одним патриотическим примером стал 8-летний мальчик Алеша, который живет в селе под Белгородом. Прославился он благодаря ролику...
Is this video sped up or something, or are they driving these trucks at 80 miles an hour?
Под Белгородом. Прославился он благодаря
ролику... Oh yeah, it's definitely sped up.
В котором встречал воинским приветствием колонну бронетехники, направляющуюся на Украину. Видео моментально стало вирусным, а образ мальчика превратился в настоящий символ.
And these are children's toys in Russia, blocks of wood.
Появились плакаты с его изображением игрушки. Белгородские кондитеры даже сделали шоколад Алёша.
Also, Matthew, now we know where those chocolate bars came from that those weirdly dressed quote-unquote nurses were handing out earlier on in the war. It's that kid. Like, they had that, it was that kid, they had turned him into a chocolate bar.
Я иногда с окна вижу, потом бегу, одеваю такую шапку.
This kid needs a tanker's helmet if he's going to be in Tony's car. Tony will kill him.
Кроссовки и бегу к военному.
Равняться предлагают и на бойцов ЧВК «Вагнер».
Oh my god, what? The combatants from Wagner Group are also seen as examples to follow. The literal prisoner convict people? Like, they're seen as examples in Russia? Oh, come on. Come on. They're pulling our chain now, okay? Because we all have seen the videos of the Wagner Group going into prisons and conscripting them and the prisoners being like, hey, we're going into the Wagner Group. And in Russia, these are role models? This would be like, what was his name, Matthew? This would be like O.J. Simpson being a role model in the U.S. Like, where? Like, that's not a role model.
Об их важной роли в спецоперации на Украине детально рассказывает художественный фильм «Лучшие в аду». Военный боевик снят крайне реалистично. Съемки шли в непосредственной близости от боевых.
I like how it's a close approximation to the real battlefield, and they were showing clips of it in the background, and it looks like a John Wayne movie from the 50s.
Спецоперации на Украине детально рассказывает художественный фильм «Лучшие».
What the hell? What kind of recoil was that? Like, every gun in this film is recoiling like it's not supposed to. Like, that's not right.
В аду. Военный боевик снят крайне реалистично. Съемки шли в непосредственной близости.
You know, I like how they said it was a close approximation. You can see this guy not hitting squat, but the brick wall. Like, that's actually pretty accurate right there. Check that out.
Съемки шли в непосредственной близости от боевых действий. А певица Вика Цыганова, которая сама не раз бывала в Донбассе, выпустила в прошлом месяце клип о вагнеровцах, храбро защищающих родину.
They don't even lie in the song. They're like, you're a Russian mercenary. It's like, mercenaries doesn't really carry a good sound. You know, that's why in America we've gentrified the word to be PMC or a private military contractor, not a mercenary, because then it just sounds like you're a killer for hire. But that's seen in that video, and that's a little bit of a look into what's actually running in between the propaganda segments we always show on this channel. Those are the kind of ads that are running out there every once in a while. And I feel sorry for the pitiful Russians that get taken in by that stuff, because that is rough. And none of those ads were even good. But anyways, we're going to be moving on because one of those little commercials actually talked about the state benefits you get. And you get no better state benefits than if you die in combat. Your family is set for life. Well, white lotas, tons of money. And, well, you know, the reality is that they don't really get any of that anymore. They used to, but, you know, the government's a little strapped on cash. You got to understand, you know, you got to be a little bit patriotic to the motherland. And so we're not even going to be giving out cakes anymore. We're now giving out tickets to the local water park.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Really?
So
they have water parks in Russia?
Apparently they do, which was actually a shock to me as well. But the mayor of this unpronounceable town, Blagoveshchensk, gifted water park tickets to a teenager whose older brother died at war in Ukraine. Deceased serviceman Alexander was the only guardian of 14-year-old Igor. And then they gave him water park tickets. Can you believe that? Like, they're not even giving anything meaningful anymore. Cakes, water park tickets. Like, the Russian government has run out of money at this point. If that is no better way to show how they've run out of money, that is the best way. They can't afford a simple, cheap car for anyone anymore. They're having to buy them water park tickets. We've reached the next level of Russian, like, stupidity. And imagine...
It seems like the better solution might be not to give them anything instead of insult them with water park tickets.
Yeah, and like imagine this kid actually trying to go to the water park and like giving these tickets to the guy at the gate. Hey, congratulations, kid. I hope you have fun at the water park. Thanks, my brother Alexander died for these tickets. Oh. It's like how in the world do you go and have fun at a water park knowing that you received the tickets because your brother died in war? Like that doesn't even.
And also, they're going to the water park in the winter, so they're going to freeze to death.
That's a good point. They can't even use it right now. They have to wait until like July of next year for the water park to probably be warm enough for them to even use. Even more insult to injury. Oh my lord. I didn't even think about that, Matthew. That was a good point. So with that,
I stole it from the chat, by the way.
Oh yeah, I saw. Let's see. Stu Seville also said water park tickets in winter, and I saw that, and I was like, oh look, they're pointing out too. But anyways, we're now moving on from Moscow. We're going to be moving a little bit further down inside of Russia, where we can see something else fairly interesting. You see, we never really see partisans filming themselves in action. That's very rare, because usually they don't want to get caught or found or anything. But these partisans were kind enough to actually show us a little bit of what they're doing. And in the Rostov-on-Don area, they're actually blowing up railroad tracks with bombs. And we haven't really seen this before on film. It's one of the first we've ever seen. And so here's the clip. Nice. And so they got him. The railroad track has been blown up. That kind of damage will be found a little quickly, I guess you could say, and it will probably be repaired within the course of 24 to 48 hours. But it's still hindering the Russian timetable. Trains run on a very strict timetable and have time slots that they have to run in. And so all the trains that were going to be running on that route in between that 24 to 48 hour period now have to be canceled, and they have to wait until the railroad track is repaired, or they have to be diverted into other areas, which causes blockages and everything else. It's really a nightmare scenario. And so we'll have to see how much damage that really does to the Russian logistical chain. Due to it being so small, we probably won't see, but it's still nice to know that partisans are behind the line and doing their little bit to help out in the war effort. And so with that, we're now finally moving out of Russia. Thank the Lord. I can't really stand to be in Russia for too long, and we're now going to be moving into Kyiv. Because one thing that we haven't really talked about a lot, we don't really talk about individual stories much. If y'all have watched this channel a whole load, y'all will, of course, know that. But I was wanting to point out one individual story for someone who's way high up in the Ukrainian government, especially the Ukrainian military. This guy is the general who organized the defense of Kyiv and also the incredibly successful Balaklia counterattack, which took massive swaths of the Kharkiv Oblast and pretty much liberated all of it except for the small area up here near Kharkov, which I totally butchered trying to say. But anyways, here is an introduction to probably one of Ukraine's up-and-up generals, Oleksandr Syrsky, otherwise known as Bars, because he's laying down bars on those poor Russian fools. And so with that, here's the video.
Очолював оборону Києва. Керував контрнаступом на Харківщині генерал-полковник на псевдо Барс.
На Східному фронті ситуація дуже напружена. Противник щоденно атакує наші підрозділи. Тактика, в основному, ми спостерігаємо, що вона помінялась з призначенням Суровікіна. Ми спостерігаємо, що відбулося збільшення і авіаційних, і ракетних ударів. Ну і ворог перейшов вже до тактики дій штурмових загонів. Ворог цю мету прорвати оборону наших військ поставив ще декілька місяців тому і призначалось вже, наскільки я пам'ятаю, 6 чи 7 термінів, коли вони повинні були оволодіти цим містом. Весь цей час він просунувся максимум до 5 кілометрів.
Мобілізація на Росії. Ворог заявляє, що вже мобілізували понад 310 тисяч росіян. Як така кількість мобілізованих впливає на хід війни?
Звичайно, така кількість особового складу збільшила нам загрозу. Це не просто слова, це нові бригади, нові батальйони, які пройшли підготовку. Це поповнення, якого так чекала російська армія, тому що вона була фактично...
All right, wait a minute, hang on, I gotta pause this right here because I want to give this man a lot of room to breathe, but this man is saying, and it's good to know, that our information and our assumptions have been fairly accurate according to General Bars. He says that the Russian army is building these new brigades and new units, not really to bolster the strength of the Russian army, but according to him, it's replenishment because the Russian army was exhausted. And we had largely gotten that earlier on in the war, of course, when we saw that the Russians took massive casualties during the Battle of Bakhmut, Severodonetsk, Lysychansk, and so on, and also during the retreat from Kherson and the counterattack near Balaklia and so on, we knew that they were getting exhausted. And so it appears that he is also under the mindset, much like I am, and pretty much the entirety of the East Spring Army is that these new troops aren't necessarily going to improve the Russian forces' size and power. It's more so just trying to replenish the soldiers that they've lost so far.
Виснажена на фронті вже з'явилися і старі зразки техніки. Можна побачити і БМП-1, і БРДМ, і БТР-70. Вся та техніка, яка у них вважалась уже списана. Це свідчить про те, що їх оборонна промисловість не спроможна.
Once again, right here, I gotta give it to General Barros right here, and I've got to ring the bell a couple of times here. We were right, according to this general's assessment, and he is the guy running things at the front. He said that the Russians are mobilizing to replenish their losses in their forces. We said that on this channel a while ago. Other channels out there and some viewers and some, I guess you could say, pro-Russian people say different, but that's not the case, as we can see. And then in the second statement, he says that this indicates that the defense industry is no longer able to restore the equipment that is damaged. We have also said that as well on stream multiple times, and we're seeing this now being confirmed by one of the highest generals and probably one of the most successful generals of this war. Very important to note.
Ту техніку, яка пошкоджена. Я вже бачу, що дефіцит зараз вже настає. Якщо ще десь місяць тому ми відповідали одним артилерійським пострілам на 6 або 10 їх пострілів, то зараз це відношення значно змінилося. Вони почали відчувати брак, нестачу цих снарядів.
And with that, that's the end of this short little clip of this interview with an impressive general of the Ukrainian military. He has to be credited with a lot, considering the defense of Kyiv and the counterattack near Balaklia were both orchestrated by this guy, and both of them went incredibly well. And in fact, really, when you think about it, Matthew, this guy, career-wise in the Ukrainian military, has had the largest amount of success in reclaiming lost territory. Everything from this area in Kharkiv up towards Kyiv that's in green was retaken because of his efforts, largely, and his strategies.
Nice.
So really, half of all that Russia has ever taken in this war can be accredited to being liberated, really, to this guy. It appears that he wasn't involved in the counterattack and the retaking of Kherson, however, but he was involved in the massive operations that were in the north and the northeast a little bit earlier on in the war, a couple of months ago. And so this guy is a pretty, by and large, legend. And just in case, because, you know, there's people out there, and this is a pretty honest critique, the enforcer has never been in the military or actually done this as a job, so what he says may not be accurate. But according to what this guy said right here, which apparently this interview just came out about a day or two ago, he had just said all of the things that our channel has been saying for months now, and he just backed it all up word for word, quote for quote. So you know, and of course this isn't to try and like toot my whistle and just act like I'm right or anything, but due to me not having a military background, I'm always trying to make sure that if there is a chance, I can show, hey, you know, I'm not just talking on my rear end here about stuff. It is largely true, backed up with some kind of information, and then later on it's backed up by government officials or military commanders, which I always feel is important because, you know, there are people out there who probably have better acumen than me in the military field, and so I'm always like, you know, if there is something that can back up what I'm saying, I'm like, oh, thank God, at least you know, at least people can kind of get confirmation I'm not talking out my rear end nonstop, and hopefully I know what I'm talking about a little bit, although that's really up to the viewer. But anyways, with that, we're now going to be moving on from this very interesting interview with Oleksandr Syrsky, impressive general of the Ukrainian military, and hopefully we'll see him pulling off some more stunts and feats here in the future around the rest of the front lines. And so with that, we're now going to be moving on into the location unknowns. And starting off with our first one, where we can see some Russian bulletproof armor. When you've got to fight a 21st century war, but you also got to help the Mongols invade Ukraine in the 13th century. What is this? This is scale. This is literally scale armor. Scale armor. Let me show you all this. Real scale armor. That's it. That's what they have under this bulletproof vest. That's the same thing. That's bizarre. Like, that's what they're giving these people. That's crazy. But, you know, like, and this is something else. I mean, like, for the first time ever, we actually saw, like, a proper bulletproof vest, though. You know, because since up until now, we've been seeing, like, cardboard slots being put in there and, you know, like, pieces of sheet metal. But now we're actually seeing something that kind of looks like real body armor, but it's still scale armor. You know, it's absolutely insane to see. Also, this is a really interesting looking scale armor. Like, the scales are really big. Usually, they're quite small. And this is, and sadly, whenever you pull up scale armor, this is something that's really been dominated by, like, Ren Fair people. So you can't really see, like, historical examples of scale armor much if you pull it up. Mostly it's, like, Ren Fair impersonations of it, sadly. Unlike plate armor, which is something different. But anyways, that's just crazy to see that they're wearing stuff that you would have seen in, like, the 15th century, and they're just covering it with some cloth to make it look modern. Bizarre. Just bizarre. But anyways, before we move on to the next one, Matthew has put up a question about the water park tickets as a poll, and it looks like a lot of y'all have been voting on it in a very short amount of time, nearly 1,000 votes in 7 minutes. And so real quick, Matthew, can we go over those little numbers and see what people are thinking about the water park tickets?
And yes, we can. And also, if I seem a little distracted, I just got sent some new honey badger artwork by our artist, 6022 by 1023rd, Fuchsia Cohn's daughter, who put out this tremendous picture of a honey badger holding a honey badger in a sleigh with leaf springs on it. And it looks so cool, I can't quit studying it. Let's see. Let me see if I can send it. It's in the general chat in the Discord server.
General chat in the Discord.
I'm just studying all the details on it. It's so detailed. It even has the EOTech scope on the top of it. It's so cool.
Oh, that is so freaking cool.
I love it. I love it.
Copy it real quick and send it to my DM so I can show it on stream.
Let's see. Copy. And
y'all are about to see something.
Oh, there we go.
That is absolutely
impressive. Yes, sir.
It's incredible. Let me show it to y'all real quick. That's it right there. Look at that. Is that cool or what? I like it.
That is so cool. I love it.
I think that's great. Honestly, I kind of feel like that belongs on a shirt. Like, that is that good.
It really does. It's so cool. Like, I'm studying. Look at the leaf springs on the bottom. That is so cool.
Yeah. Oh my God. I didn't even notice that. The sleigh is literally leaf springs.
That is cool.
That is so cool. Once again, that's incredible. Like, I got to give a huge shout out. That is probably the coolest, like, illustration we ever got beyond the original honey badger. This is probably the coolest one. Also, I saw one earlier. I'll scroll up in the DMs. So right here, this little badge, really cool one as well. And we've been thinking about making that one a merch one, but we're gonna have to, you know, of course, touch bases with the person who made it, and then ask them if they want that to be public. And if so, then we'll give them the credit.
They said yes.
Oh,
they did. They said yes.
They did already?
They did.
What? Oh man! So y'all also be seeing this one as a merch item in the future. going to see about having this one made as a mug, and we may start doing like division patches and trying to give certain patches to certain parts of the world, or maybe a thing where, you know, you can try and collect them all like a Pokemon or something. But it's really cool looking. I really like this badge, and I also love this. This is great. That is absolutely wonderful. I like it a whole load. Like, that's great. I love it. And so with that, we're going to be moving on from those, and I'm also going to be closing down my Discord, a rare behind-the-scenes look at how we actually talk to each other on stream. But with that, it's now time for us to do something that a lot of y'all know we're about to do. We're going to be going over the water park tickets. So, Matthew, what are people thinking about the water park tickets?
All right, so this poll said, would the Russians be better off not giving out water park tickets as payment for killed soldiers? It looks like 82% said that is simply an insult, 6% said not sure, and 12% said no, the victims deserve something. For this one, I've got to say that I do believe the victims deserve something, but at some point, some things you can give are just straight up insults, and I think water park tickets are definitely going to qualify for that. So I'm going to go with the majority, but for sure, what do you think?
Water park tickets got to be the worst idea I've ever heard. You know, it's just a juxtaposition of what happened and what you're getting. Like, you know, when a soldier dies in the United States, getting past all of the benefits that you probably get if you know, a son or you know, a family member dies in service, they give you a folded flag or something similar like that. It's not anything monetary, it's not like a consumer item, but it's something very respectful. And I think it's even if you didn't get any kind of compensation for their death beyond that, I think it's a very deserving honor, of course. But water park tickets is a whole other thing, because you're giving in reward to someone being killed, probably in a very bad way, tickets to a water park. It's like it's death mixed with pleasure of going to a water park. It just is wrong. Like, it's just wrong on the emotional level. It just doesn't really jive. Also, like cakes kind of fall in that category too. We didn't really go on the cake a lot, but the cake is also something that feels a huge slap in the face. Like, someone dies, so you celebrate it like it's a birthday and you give them a cake. Like, that just seems wrong, you know? So with that, I hope that addresses that poll fairly well. It's now gotten up to 1,300 votes, but all of y'all are almost unanimous on saying that that's simply an insult. And so with that, we are on to the next poll.
All right, and the first poll that I ran said, do you think Russia is preparing for a massive 2023 offensive against Ukraine? It looks like these results were pretty evenly split. 41% said yes, they are preparing. 19% said not sure, I need more info. 29% said no, it's impractical / problematic. And 10% said no, it's absolutely not a possibility. I'm going to fall in the 29% that said it's impractical and problematic. I have a feeling that if Russia knew they could pull it off and have the troops that were trained enough to do it, that they would certainly give it a go, but they simply don't have that. So it's impractical and problematic. Enforcer, what say you?
I would have to say, of course, I'm kind of mixed on it because it could go out either way, but at the same time, I'm largely leaning towards it's probably not going to happen. Considering this, once again, if we pull it up, Russia attacks Kyiv again. If you type this in, you'll see certain people reporting on this. The Daily Mail, The Guardian, let's see, of course, YouTube channels. I think everyone's reporting on this one today on YouTube, including us. But you don't see this. You don't see this being reported on large news channels like ABC News, and that doesn't mean that they're more credible. But that means that it's kind of odd that it's only popping up here. It's kind of like back in the day when things would only show up on Hindustan Times that wouldn't show up anywhere else that were blatantly untrue. That's kind of what this is falling under to me, at least in this report. And of course, a Ukrainian general may have said this, but I don't see it being feasible. You know, because once again, we just saw that we saw that General Bars, I'm going to call him General Bars because that's a lot easier to say, wildly successful general in this war, probably the most successful general in the armed forces, he is saying that they're raising these conscripts to replenish losses. And that's what he said. And he, if anyone would know anything about the front lines, I think he would be the one that would know the most. And he's saying that. And so it seems to be a complete opposite, that instead of using these forces to replenish what we already know they've taken in losses, they're going to be taking more losses by Well, they're going to be taking more losses down there and not replenishing them, and then they're going to be taking even more losses up north by, instead of replenishing their forces, they're raising brand new ones and sending them sending them to somewhere else. And Cuomo7 said, I saw it on CNN and Fox News. Did they? I mean, like, that doesn't mean that it's any more credible than it currently is, but did they? Let me see this. CNN breaking news. You know, a news channel is very credible when every time they come back from a commercial break, they say the most trusted name in news, according to who? You know, that's always.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to brainwash us.
Let's see. Exploding gift sends Polish police chief to hospital after Ukraine visit. Huh. That's wild. But let's see.
Are they calling that a gift? They seriously called a bomb a gift?
Yeah, I never heard anyone saying that the Unabomber's boxes were gifts. You know, like, that's just a little messed up to say, but let's see here. Let's see, is it Pasa? Oh, look, all this political stuff, great. Let's see, more top stories. I'm not seeing it as one of their top stories right now. But then again, you know, they're mostly like an American-centric kind of like storytelling thing, because that draws in the most viewers for them. But I'm not seeing it here. I mean, I'm not doubting it. I don't know if they did or didn't, but I'm not seeing it straight up. We could also check Fox as well, but I don't want to spend too much time on it. However, I'm very skeptical about it, even if they are reporting on it. My honest opinion is that they're probably not. It wouldn't make any sense. Y'all have been here long enough to hear me explain why it wouldn't make a lot of sense for them to revisit places they've already lost instead of pushing out of places they've been. And so with that, I hope that addresses the poll fairly well. And now it's time, Matthew, to move on from the polls, because I know we only had 2 tonight, and it's now time for us to move on into the questions and see what everyone has to ask.
All right, so moving on to our super chats first. Up first, we have a $50 donation from Tim Q. Very generous of you, Tim, and thank you so much for that. He says, Slava Ukraine and Heroam Slava. I was born and grew up in Mordor, aka Russia. You guys have no idea how important this fight is. It will determine the fate of the world. Ukraine fights for all of us.
And thank you so much for the support, Tim. And I can't believe that we actually have Russian viewers here. Oh, of course, I don't know if you are from Russia. If you are, was that sent in dollars or rubles?
Let's see here. It was, I don't see it in the live chat anymore, but I think it was sent in dollars, if I'm not mistaken.
I would do a deep dive on that, but I don't want to waste the time doing that. But if you are still in Russia, that's crazy to see that you actually send us a super chat from Russia. That would be insane. I think that would be the first one ever. If you are outside of Russia, welcome to the free world. I hope you've been having fun out here. And it is a very important war also for the sake of Russia's future, because Russia, you know, and of course to reiterate this again, because this is a huge deal with Russians. Russia is on the brink of irrelevancy at this point. If they cannot win this war, Russia will become an irrelevant country probably for the rest of modern history until we enter a brand new age. So it's a very bitch war for them as well. And it's very important from that perspective. It's also very important from a Western perspective because, of course, it is true. The Russians try and phrase it as a bad thing, but honestly, being an American, it is a good thing. America is expanding their sphere of influence a little bit further, and Ukraine is a voluntary participant in that. They're wanting, of course, if you look back at 2014 and the whole Maidan head riots, revolution, and all that stuff, they want to become a part of the European Union and further on a member of NATO. And that's something that they've been trying to do for years. And it helps the United States to expand its sphere of influence, which is very beneficial for us. And it also allows Ukraine to, I guess you could say, fulfill their, their own realized prophecy in a way, which is good for them. It's a win-win for both countries. And so it is very interesting, both from an American perspective and a Russian perspective, as to what this war can mean for the future. And so with that, I thank you so much once again for support, Tim. Also, thank you for being a Russian-born member of the Lee Spring Army. You know what, Matthew? We're going to give Tim a title. We haven't given people titles in a while, and I believe that Walter and Mark are some of our Lee Spring Army soldiers with titles. We are now going to create Tim, the Commander of the First Army of the Free Russians of the Lee Spring Army. We'll probably try and change that name a little bit later because that's a really
that's a long title right there.
But the titles have got to be long, Matthew. They got to be long. You know, like, have you ever heard it in like the Middle Ages and so on? Like when there would be like a king of the Holy Roman Empire, he would be like the princely duchy of Esse, along with the princely duchies of Hanover, Bremen, Hamburg, and also the kings of the Holy Roman Empire, the Prussian state, and so on. Like, they would always be long titles. I want Lee Spring Army titles to be long, you know, because they're not supposed to be like serious titles. They're supposed to just be funny, have a good laugh at it, you know, and hopefully they also enjoy the title, because I think it's neat. I'm not going to come up with a title for me, though. But I have seen one. If I did get a title, there's a really cool one I have seen every once in a while in the comment section. People call me the one who never sleeps, which, I gotta be honest, isn't really entirely true anymore, because I've actually been managing to get like 8 hours of sleep sometimes nowadays. But back in the day, I was never sleeping. Like, I was always doing this, and I thought that was like a super cool title if I ever got one, the one who never sleeps. Like, I was like, that's cool. It just sounds cool. But anyways, I'm not ever going to give myself an official title rather than the Enforcer. That's just who I am. But anyways, thank you so much once again for the support, Tim, and I hope we addressed that fairly well. And with that, on to the next one.
All right, and on to the next one. We have a $51 super chat from Susan Lowell, who says, I annexed Kerch Bridge, and if you don't like it, burn it up. It's now East Crimea.
What? Read that again?
Susan says, I annexed Kerch Bridge, and if you don't like it, burn it up. It's now East Crimea.
Ooh, dang. You're pulling some big moves out here, Susan. You annexed the Kerch Bridge? How? I would like to know, honestly. James Bond just said his dudeness. But anyways, I gotta thank you so much for the support, Susan. And if you did annex the Kerch Bridge, I think the United Nations should officiate that claim, and that we should see this becoming the independent state of Susan Lowell. I think that would be pretty cool. I don't know about you, Susan, but I'd like to see that one day on, like, the Tuzla Island. Like, the Tuzla Island is the capital of the whole thing. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the support. And now Susan is the rightful owner of Crimea. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the support, Susan. I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And also, Jin Sakai, before we move on to the next super chat, Jin Sakai said, the Enforcer isn't the greatest name. What? What do you mean? Like, I think it's a great name. I thought it was a great channel name. You know, I'm not biased or anything. It's not like I made it. I don't know. Why would you say that, Jin Sakai? You've hurt me. I'm just kidding. You know, honestly, compared to the way I normally act, which a lot of people say I'm quite nice, although we're beefing with someone, and to be honest, we've started to notice, because I actually had some moderators do a real deep dive on a supposed incident last night. It appears that we may be getting false reports of a beef, and the beef is just being perpetrated by people going to the other channel and telling them we're beefing with them, and then people coming to our channel and saying they're beefing with us, and it's keeping the beef alive. So, you know, beyond that beef, which is the only one, we're going to see about trying to quash that, honestly, here in the future, now seeing what we're seeing. But, you know, with that in mind, we're not really enforcing much. We're just reporting things and having a fun time. But I like the name. I like it.
In other words, beef is expensive, and we just found out that the store was out of stock of beef.
Oh, dang, that was actually a good one, Matthew.
That was clever, wasn't it? It took me like 5 minutes to think that up.
That was actually really smart. I want to give Matthew some credit for that one. And so with that, we're going to be moving on from this question from Susan. Thank you so much once again for the support, Susan. And on to the last one. And then we'll be moving back to the news. I'm sorry, I don't know why I stuttered through that, but let's get to the last question.
All right, so real quick, just grabbing one more live chat here that was really good. Got to put that in the spreadsheet before I miss it. So let's see here. Our next one is from BC Skyman, who puts in a $50 donation. He leaves a super chat, a super sticker, I meant. And BC, thank you very much once again for the support. I think BC is driving once again, if I'm not mistaken.
Don't kill yourself, BC.
Well, I think he's in the passenger seat or something. He said, keep me awake. So he might be driving, he might not be. But thank you, BC, once again for that. And Enforcer, take it away.
And I got to thank you so much for the support, BC Scammon. Of course, BC didn't throw in a comment. I think, honestly, this time, it's understandable. If you are driving a car late at night, I wouldn't really be a big fan of you like typing up a whole message, you know, because I would fear that you would get in a wreck or something. But thank you so much once again for the support, BC. You've helped out this channel massively, whole loads, ever since this channel's been founded and we've been running. And I got to thank you so much once again for the support and helping us to keep this thing running. And so with that, thank you all so much once again for the support. Thank you, BC Skyman, Susan Lowell, and Tim for helping this channel to keep on running and also throwing in some pretty interesting comments, questions, and everything in between. It's been it's absolutely incredible to talk to y'all, and I love this about super chats and live chats in general, is that streams allow us to talk directly to y'all, and videos are fun for me to make. I love making the video I made today about the helicopter, but at the same time, I don't get to talk to y'all. And I get to talk to y'all here, and that's why I really like the live stream format. I love it. And so with that, thank you to all of y'all so much once again for the support, and thank you, BC Skyman, for being an old guard of the Least Spring Army. And so with that, we are on to the next one. And also, some people are saying, who is this other channel? Don't worry, we generally try and not give out names, especially when we're trying to send messages. Like, the misunderstanding that was had a long time ago with this channel is that we were actually addressing a small channel that was a creation of the Great Schism, and they mistook it as it was about them. And then we tried to clarify that, and I think they've had a stick in their craw, or people have been instigating a stick in their craw ever since because of the misunderstanding. And, you know, not to go into a lot of detail because I want to, you know, try and keep everyone's names anonymous with what's going on and what we found and all that stuff, and really just have it sorted out. But we were told last night by several people that the person in question, the channel in question, had said some stuff about us on their stream last night. And so this time I was like, you know what, I'm gonna have to find out exactly what they said. So I had our entire Discord moderator team, who did a terrific job. I had them go through and look at the entire stream that this channel ran, and saw if they said anything about us, and they didn't. But there was comments in the comments section that made it seem like he said something about us. And then there's people coming over here and trying to start beef with us for that channel. And honestly, at this point, from what it looks like, the other channel, him and me, we've been kind of at odds with each other a little bit and getting worse and worse off ever since the misunderstanding initially. And so we're going to be trying to clear that up, considering what we're seeing now, and it looks like there's just a group of people out there who may be trying to start up the whole thing. Because honestly, the thing is that the channel I'm talking about, and we're not gonna, you know, name them off by name, because we're not trying to, you know, have people misunderstand it and go over there and start beef more. But the back in the day, this guy actually supported us during the copyright strikes. Like, he actually said some good words about us on his channel. He's been over here, he's thrown in super chats. Matthew's been over on his channel a little bit before, and then after the misunderstanding, things have been going downhill ever since. And I'm not really one to try and have beef with people, and this is really seeming to be an unfortunate incident of misunderstandings in between both his channel and mine. So we'll be seeing about clearing it up. And with that, without further ado, not getting into any more news about it, we're going to be getting back to the actual news of the war in Ukraine, starting off with our next bit of Location Unknown news, where we saw the Ukrainians getting in a close quarters firefight in an unknown location, but it was an insane firefight. And so, here's the video. Oh. Smoke fills the air. Bullets are bouncing right over the guy's head. They're in a hell of a firefight right here. Now it seems like there's been a small break in the firefight. This guy is breathing like he's run a marathon, and the stress has got to make him feel like he has been running one. Looks like he's pulled out a smoke grenade. Nope, actually it's a paper case of ammo. The guy literally lets out a laugh in the middle of the firefight. He's just like, and then the firefight continues. You see, he's still reloading a magazine. He's doing it a little bit slowly, probably so that way he can focus and make sure they're actually going into the magazine, because his adrenaline is probably through the roof.
Примерно человек 15-20. Это двумя машинами. Там еще тачик застрял. Тачик должен еще потянуться с пацанами.
We now hear some more rounds bouncing off the ground nearby. The Ukrainians and the Russians are exchanging fire heavily. And this guy is just sitting here reloading his magazine. But the firefight is going insane right now. He's now chambered around. He's gotten up. He's now firing at the Russians. He's still trying to reload the mag. So, to pause real quick, what we can get from this film, because usually soldiers have several magazines to fire, is that by the time this guy started filming this video, the firefight had been going on for so long that he had expended all of his magazines and he was now having to hand load a single one to keep the firefight going. Just to give you all an idea of how insane it was before the filming even began. We see a soldier passing over him.
На, русские! Баняны, поки їх нахуй там перенесуть, блядь. На, все, блядь, повен. Есть повен?
I mean, one hell of a firefight, and you've really got to give it to this guy. This guy was keeping it together. He was cool as a cucumber. You know the guy, like, and I'm always saying they're cool as a cucumber, but underneath that coolness and this guy just laughing off a whole firefight, this guy's got to be scared as hell. I would be scared as hell in this guy's position. Having bullets flying right over your head, one of them could just be the lucky one that hits you and takes you out. And this guy is just sitting here, casually reloading a magazine, laughing and joking, gets up, fires more rounds, hand loads the magazine again. You gotta give this guy credit. And he looks no older than me. He looks like my age, like 20 or 19 or so. And he's out there fighting and defending for Ukraine as a whole. You've got to give these guys massive amounts of credit. We rarely ever see videos anymore where there's open firefights in fields. Usually they're in some kind of towns where you really can't see each other and no one really knows where they are. Or we see one side getting shelled by artillery or the other. And this guy right here, he's just in an actual firefight, a real firefight in the field. Probably the worst place to be in a firefight. And he is still keeping it together. The professionalism of the average Ukrainian soldier, like this man right here, is unparalleled. And you've got to give these guys loads of credit for what they go through every day and how professional they keep things even during all of it. And so with that, we're now moving on to our next bit of Location Unknown News, where we saw a hello from the AFU. This is actually from the Foreign Legion.
Грузия. Грузия. Не. Я Georgia.
Oh, Anglia.
American.
Germany. English. Germany.
Germany.
Ukraine.
Canada. Ukraine.
Kacha. Uganda.
Uganda?
What?
What?
Did I hear that right?
Uganda.
Nah, he's trolling.
Yeah, he's kidding. It sounded like he didn't even say Uganda. It sounded like he said Wakanda. Wakanda forever. But anyways, it's really cool to see that this legion right here, or this unit, is literally made up of everyone. There's a British guy, a German guy, a Polish guy, a Georgian guy, a Canadian. I think there was an American in there, but they could hardly hear him. This is a real group right here, a real tag team of people from all around the world who are still fighting to defend Ukraine. And you got to give them a load of credit for that. I mean, like, these guys didn't have to be there. They didn't have to be fighting in this war. Yet here they all are together as a team fighting for a country that isn't even theirs just because they believe in the cause. And so with that, that's the end of that little video. But once again, a little glimpse of the Foreign Legion. We don't see them a lot on film anymore, but we do every once in a while, and there's an instance of it. And so with that, we're moving on into the next bit of Location Unknown News, where we saw a Ukrainian do the coldest thing. This guy is walking away from an abandoned Russian armored car, as well as a tractor, and a mine goes off behind him. And this man, as cold as he is, he just walks away from the mine. Well, let me mute the music, but watch this. This is insane. He's walking away. The mine explodes behind him. You can't see it right there, but they play it in slow-mo. And watch this, Matthew. This guy is stone cold.
He is.
Look at that. He's still walking casually. Like, the cool guys don't look at explosions. That's what he's thinking in his head. He's like, just keep walking. But with that, that's the end of the video. And according to the cameraman, he said that this guy got out of it without a single injury. Somehow, by sheer luck, he didn't even get any kind of shrapnel injuries from that explosion, which just happened meters behind him. And so this guy is one lucky man. And also, he's got a cool video to show his family right here. Look at that. Like that right there, if his face was unblurred, that's what you would see in a movie. Like when, what's that guy's name? John Wick or something? Like he's walking away from the bad guy's house and it just blows up. That's what you would see. What one hell of a guy right there. And also a really lucky one too, because you can see the shrapnel fragments flying up into the air right there. But with that, we're now going to be moving on into the next bit of Location Unknown news. And this one is the casualty report, of course. And so, here are the Russian losses for the day. So far, we can see another 590 Russian soldiers have been killed, bringing the total up to 96,590. Another 9 armored personnel carriers were destroyed, a supply truck, 5 tanks, 12 artillery pieces, 27 drones, probably one of the highest numbers we've seen on a single day in recent months. 2 MLRSs and a special equipment vehicle were also destroyed. Once again, we can see that the Russians, in terms of tank losses, are not as high as they once were during the first Battle of Bakhmut, largely because they're conserving their tank forces at this point. So we know that it's largely representative of what's going on. However, the infantry losses are still incredibly high, and of course, so high that they're pretty much having to replace a battalion tactical group a day just in killed alone, and we don't even know how many that would include with the wounded as well. And so with that, we're now going to be moving on from the casualty report. Of course, simple as is, it is pretty much self-explanatory, and we've seen these losses often, and of course, it's kind of crazy to think that we see these losses so often that they're not even anything mentionable anymore. It's just that the Ukrainians do so well. It's like, 600 soldiers wiped out a day. That's just normal business at this point. But moving on into our last bit of Location Unknown news, we had a picture of a Ukrainian peon firing from the front. A really cool picture. You can actually see the shell.
That is a really good shot.
Yeah, and you can, that's just so cool. It looks like it's firing a nuclear mushroom cloud out of the front of the gun from this picture.
And when you see pictures like this, it's almost like unbelievable that somebody got the shot. Like, it makes you want to think it was Photoshop, but it looks pretty real.
Oh, it is real. It is entirely real. And then what's crazy to think is that this all happened so quickly that if it wasn't a picture and it was just a video, you would never see the shell. You would hardly see that explosion. I guess you could say, like the cloud, or, well, yeah, pretty much the explosive cloud made from the propellant. You wouldn't really see any of that for long. It disappears within seconds, and the shell does as well. But it's crazy to think, if you could live time in slow motion, you would actually see this giant piece of explosive filler with some metal around it fly through the sky and out into the distance dozens of miles away and hit something. It's really crazy to think about it when you actually get a picture like this, that thing weighs like 150 pounds and it's going to be hurled about 24 miles away. It's really insane, honestly. But with that, it's time for us to move on from this last bit of Location Unknown news, a pretty cool bit. And now it's time for us to move on to the Frontline news and see what's been going on there. And so starting off near Pokrovsk, we saw that there was something that really actually made me go, holy moly, seriously. Y'all will see what I mean, and I'm not even going to explain it. Here's the video. Holy moly! Oh my god!
Mines?
They're mines! And this guy's got a fuse like it's some kind of a cowboy show. He's going to light the fuse and blow them all up. He's trying to light the fuse. The lighter isn't really working with him. Now it's worked. They're like, get in the truck!
What in the hell? These people are mad lads.
They've now driven down the road. Oh!
The guy's trying to make sure his head's still on his head.
He's like, am I still alive?
Бля, я бы снял без... Я бы снял бы цей.
Man, oh my god. You know what scared me is that I was thinking when they would blow up that a mine would come landing down on top of them and explode, you know, because it would fling mines throughout the air. But it looks like it blew them all up somehow. I don't know how, but they did it. And that was crazy. And also at the end, of course, in usual Ukrainian fashion, take a listen. Laugh. They laugh about it. I don't know what's up with these people. Like, Ukrainians are like the craziest people on earth in a cool way. Like, they do crazy, dangerous stuff, and they just get laughs out of it. Like, all the time. And that's why, you know, in case anyone's wondering, that's why we always joke on this channel. There are some people in Ukraine and some people that are fighting in Ukraine that have watched this channel and are still watching this channel right now. They're just largely quiet. And I always want to keep up high spirits because these guys have got high spirits and they actually deal with the rigors of war every day. And if they can keep up high spirits and laugh and joke about it, I'm sure the entirety of the Lee Spring Army and I can also laugh and joke about it along with them and try and keep things light and keep things not too serious where they act like they're going to die every day. And so with that, we're now going to be moving...
You know something that they didn't think about when they did this? And I saw it in the live chat a second ago. I was thinking the same thing, but I just didn't say it. They just blew up the road.
Yeah, they did. There's probably a massive crater over there. And the road's gone.
So now they're going to drive either through a humongous like hole in the road or go around and get stuck in the snow.
Oh, you know, that's actually a good point. Maybe they did that deliberately then. You know, because they were lined up in a line across the road from end to end. Maybe they meant to blow up the road.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on that. They may have not meant to blow up the road, and then they did. Or
that's why the guy was scratching his head. He was like, "Oh, wait a minute." He's like, "Did we just blow up the road to get out of here?"
They're all laughing and stuff, and then when they go to drive back down the road and leave, they're like, "Uh-oh." They're like, "We're screwed." But anyways, with that, it's time for us to move on from this little winter wonderland. It's time for us to look at it again. This time a little bit closer to Svatove and near Nizhnya Divanka, where we saw the Ukrainian soldiers digging a trench in the middle of a blizzard, a literal blizzard. I'm not even lying. This is a blizzard. So here's the video, and I gotta mute this because it's got some kind of weird Christmas carol playing, and I'm sure it's copyrighted. But look at that snow coming in. That is a straight up blizzard. Well, wait a minute, Matthew. I'm sure someone from like Alaska is about to be on the street. You haven't experienced cold. I wear shorts in negative 10-degree weather. This isn't a blizzard. This is a light drizzle or something like that. But for us in Alabama, this is like a blizzard. And they're trudging away, digging new trenches, laying new supportive works to the sidewalls.
He's like the guy on that Disney cartoon. I ho.
I ho. It's off to work I go. The Disney copyright lawyers are here. Hi ho. Hi ho. Hi ho. Hi ho. Hi ho. Cease and desist we go.
Look at that. Wait a minute. Look at that guy in the background over there with that cigarette. What in the world?
He's sitting over there and he's like, Lord, I've had tough days, but this one is the toughest. He's just soaking it in. He's like, man, this sucks. And you got to give it credit to him though. They are still out there in the middle of the suck, and they're just doing their job, and you got to give them credit for it. You've got to. I'm always trying to hit that home because I rarely would ever see myself out there dealing with those kinds of conditions, and they just tough it up. And so with that, we're now moving on down near the Svatove area where we saw more Ukrainian soldiers in the snow, this time enjoying it once again and dancing. And also, everyone started flooding in. That's not a blizzard! Everyone did, like clockwork. We had to mute the music, of course. It's copyrighted, but... Oh, holy moly!
They kind of like jump scared me a little bit.
They actually scared me a little bit. I'll like jump back for a second. Let me get the higher graphics on this. Winter ghillie suits. You know, imagine, Matthew, that you were walking through the woods not expecting this. You just saw these guys pop up and start dancing. I would swear I would have saw the Yeti. Like, these guys look like Yetis.
Yeah, a little bit.
They kind of look like 101 Dalmatians Yetis, though. But, you know, they still look like Yetis.
They look like they're wearing a cow outfit like the other fellows were.
Yeah, true. But you know something else I was noticing about this, Matthew?
What's that?
They kind of remind me. Hang on. I don't think we can get copyrighted for this. I gotta show you this. I got it spot on, I think. You remember the original Star Wars? I'm sure you remember watching it a while ago, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what?
Yowie?
You know, like movies 4, 5, and 6. You know, the original ones where they were on Hoth or something like that. You know, the snow planet.
Yeah.
And Luke Skywalker went to that cave and he ran into the Hoth monster.
I think
these guys look like the Hoth monster.
Damn.
Look at that. Like, look. Very similar. Like, fuzzy, you know? Like, they look a lot like it. I'm telling you, man. They kind of look like Yetis. I'm not lying. That would be scary to see if they just popped up out of nowhere. But with that, we're going to be moving on from that little bit of news and our supposition that they kind of look like Yetis. And we're now going to be moving a little bit further down the line and into the area of Armenia. We're not going to Bakhmut first. We're going here because I know y'all love big explosions. Everyone loves a big explosion, especially when it's one coming from Russian-occupied territory. And what we're about to see is probably one of the biggest ammo dump explosions that we've seen in a while in Armenia. And so with that, let's watch this video. And y'all are about to hear, I think, if I remember this video correctly, a trademark noise. You see him looking into the darkness. Did you hear it? Did you hear it? Oh, yeah. Boom. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! And he really did it right there. He's like, oh yo. Dude, he was literally looking into the dark. He's just like, good morning. It's now 8 o'clock. Oh, that's insane.
His noise keep getting louder with the size of the explosion. And the dog gets louder too. Damn.
Whoa.
Look at that, like, dust in the fire. That's crazy.
It's like glittering dust. That looks like the Milky Way. You know, like when you look up in the night sky and there's like no light pollution, that looks like the Milky Way.
Yeah.
That is crazy. And then he's like
she said, what was that? Did you drop something? He said, no.
He's like, honey, I just saw the craziest thing. He's going to walk in. She's not going to believe him when she walks outside. The cloud is going to be like, you know, it's going to be pitch black again so you can't see like the mushroom cloud. She's going to be like, you're lying. And he's going to be like, no, seriously, it blew up. Like it was a whole crazy thing. But let's go back to that again because the way that thing blew up, it literally looked like the sun rising on a new day. Good lord. Insane. That's all I gotta say. But once again, the Russians will be running a little short on ammo over the next coming weeks, and they'll have to substitute that with hopes and dreams, something that the Russians are very accustomed with at this point. And so with that, we're now going to be moving into the Bakhmut area, now knowing what's going on behind the lines, which is great to see, to Soledar, where we saw some destroyed vehicles. The Ukrainians have been busy, and they've been doing quite a good job. We gotta mute the music, but a destroyed car, it seems. Abandoned Russian tank. It looks like a T-64BV. And a T-72B3. Don't y'all love the fax machine sounding identifications for Russian tanks? You know, I always love giving them out because I'm sure that they sound very similar. A T-64BV and a T-72B3 almost sound identical to say. And then we can see some kind of weird abandoned MTLB Deluxe. I don't even know what kind of MTLB variant that is, but we've seen it a lot. So we're going to call that thing the MTLB Deluxe from here forward. And so with that, that's the end of the video. But once again, Ukrainians are fairly busy. Moving on into our next picture, we saw, well, next video, we saw some house-to-house fighting occurring. Once again, this is actually a continuation of the video that we saw from yesterday, but it looks like the man picked up the camera again and started recording another video. And so here it is. And here's the firefight going on outside, right through the opening in the wall. We now see him walking up to the wall again. He's got some great recoil control.
It's like a beat.
Dun, 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 dun. And that's the end of that video, but once again, this soldier is roughing the front lines in the Soledar area and making sure to bring the fight to the Russians, certainly. And also, really good rifleman. He had some great control, recoil on auto. And so with that, we're now going to be moving on from that clip and on into some pictures, because, you know, well, actually, these pictures are more so down here. One second, everyone. I'm actually going to have to do something here a little bit different, because I need to look at these again to think, do I want to show these? Yeah, we will. So, let me move this map back over so that we all can see that. And I'm about to show you all a picture, because a lot of, you know, I've been seeing some comments, lately. I don't know if they're from pro-Russian bots or what, but a lot of people are always going, I don't believe that the casualties are as high as they are for the Russians in the Bakhmut area. I think they're hyperinflated or overinflated. There's way too many. They can't be taking that much. The Ukrainians are probably taking a lot more. And without backing up with picture or video evidence, largely right. But real quick, I'm about to show you something. This isn't necessarily NSFW or graphic at all, but it does show something that you would normally see on a video of a drone dropping bomblets, but on a much larger scale. What y'all are about to see is an entire Russian trench. And suffice it to say, the casualties are incredibly high in the Bakhmut area. As you can see in this picture right here, this is a single trench, and it's not going all too well. The first picture is something I will not show on stream, because I do think, although while it's not graphic, it is a little bit too much, for my opinion, showing it on stream. But in case y'all were wondering if the casualties are truly as high as they're sounding around the Bakhmut area, they really are. And they're getting even higher, as we can see, as each day goes by, and these troops are being backed up with less tanks, less armored personnel carriers, and less artillery support. They're continuing to mount more casualties, and that is a good example of the casualties that are being taken in one area, and from what we can tell, it's somewhere in between Soledar and Bakhmut itself. And so with that, we're now going to be moving on into the next video, where we actually saw that the Ukrainians also took on some prisoners today in that area. And we gotta mute the music, because while it's fun clown music for the clown Russians, we can't play it because it's copyrighted. And when you see this guy, he's just hanging on to the pole. It looks like he may have his career opportunities singled out for himself in the future. When you see them all holding on to each other and filing into the building, so that way they can be processed and then sent to prisoner of war camps deeper inside of Ukraine. And this guy's still hanging onto the pole. And the Ukrainian soldier looked at him and he was like, "What's wrong with this guy?" Like, look. He looked him up and down like, what the hell? And so with that, that's the end of the video. But once again, more Russian prisoners being processed, and more of them not going to be fighting anymore for Russia. And of course, soldiers that will have to be replaced eventually. Moving on further down into the Bakhmut area and Bakhmut proper, we saw that the Ukrainians have whipped out the MTLB-100, which is what we're going to be designating this thing. This is an MTLB armored personnel carrier with I believe, an RP-12 Rapira anti-tank gun mounted on top of it. And so here's the video. We're going to have to mute it beyond the sound of that explosion because, of course, they're playing music. But we see they're using this MTLB to pretty decent effect, actually, which is interesting. We now see some Stugna footage mixed in. Some more Stugna footage. It looks like they hit an APC with troops behind it. That one. Actually, it's a T-12 gun, not a RP-12. That thing is crazy, honestly. A really nutty creation of two vehicles into one. Once again, hitting the same target. Taking one of the expended shells away and throwing it into what appears to be a bog. They're now firing the gun again. And with that, that's the end of the video. But once again, the Ukrainians are bringing the juice with this MT-LB-100, and pretty interesting to see as well. It's such a weird creation that they made, and one that they made during this current war. With that, we're now moving down to the area of Opitne, where we saw a Ukrainian soldier sleeping in a foxhole. In this moment, sleeping is literal. He's actually in a sleeping bag and sleeping down there. And also, man, that guy's got a nice AR-15. Or an M4. It's most likely not an AR-15, it's most likely an M4, but he's got a nice one. And so with that, I was hoping Matthew would be like, yeah, that's pretty nice, you know. But anyways, with that, we're now moving on from this little picture of this Ukrainian soldier sleeping very nicely in this foxhole. And we're now moving a little bit further south on the front line near Odorivka, where we saw that the Ukrainians have grabbed a free Mr. S. A free one! Once again, we have to mute it, but we see them on their Ukrainian, I believe that's some kind of like a T-64 plot or something similar, dragging away a Russian Mr. S. Look at that. It's free. F-R-E-E, that spells free. RussianArmy.com, baby. But with that, that's the end of the video. And once again, super nice to see that they're taking more SPGs, very rare ones at this point, from the Russian army. Now we're going to be moving all the way down to the farther southern end of the Bakhmut front, where we saw the area of Ozoryanivka, where we saw that Russians were getting hit today once more. You see the Russians here moving through the field. These little pixels right here where my mouse cursor is. We see the camera zooming in. And you see that there's about 4 of them, maybe 5. And the artillery hit right on, and it looks like all of them are now out of action. And they are. And with that, that's the end of the video. But once again, Ukrainians are doing pretty good. We're now going to be moving on from the Bakhmut area real quick to show you all this, just so that way we can say we cover the front line. Here's Bakhmut today. Here's Bakhmut yesterday. Let me actually click yesterday. Here's Bakhmut today. Well, actually, here's Bakhmut yesterday. Here's Bakhmut today. It appears that they have started to move a little bit towards... Wait a minute, hang on. Hang on, I'm sorry. That's actually Bakhmutske. That's not Bakhmut. Sorry. Here's Bakhmut today.
Can you flip it to English?
Yes. And I keep on getting it wrong. I'm turning into like a person who cannot speak. There's many people who cannot speak. What happened? Anyways, here's Bakhmut today. Here's Bakhmut yesterday. Today. Yesterday. Oh, today. Yesterday. Today. Yesterday. Today. Once again, not a lot of frontline movement. The areas that we see are the Russians regaining ground that the Ukrainians took 2 days ago. So, with that, it's now time for us to move on into the next part of the front line, further south in Donetsk, where we saw today that the Russians were operating a very odd vehicle called a Nona in the area. This thing is kind of like an artillery piece that was put on top of a BMP-3-ish chassis, but this one didn't end up with a service life that was long. You could see that it actually ceased to exist here. And you can even see that it had Fury written on the front of it, and then you can see the Fury right there on the ground. The only thing that was furious about it was the way it died. And so with that, we're now moving on to the next bit of news around Kharkivka, where we saw blocking traffic as it fired off rockets. Hi, Mars. And so, here's the video. We can see that they actually pulled up in the middle of the road, set up the HIMARS, and started shooting it off in the middle of traffic. Pretty cool.
Everybody's turning around like, oh dear.
Also, I think we can play this. And now we gotta mute it because that's the copyrighted part.
That was actually pretty decent. It sounded like Mickey, but pretty decent.
Anyways, it's nice to see the HIMARS still in operation and hopefully hitting its targets correctly. We're now moving on into the next bit of news, a little bit further behind the lines, where we saw the air show MiG-29 again. And so, here's the video. And look at that thing. Honestly, not a bad camouflage from underneath. What? What noise did you make?
I said, shung.
Anyways,
immature noises.
Like we're playing, Matthew's playing Cars over here. Anyways, there's the MiG-29 flying over someone on the ground. And then later on in the day, we actually saw it firing off some of its missiles at some air targets. I almost choked to death in the middle of saying that. Also, remember, this is actually not an air show MiG. This is Peppa MiG. We now see him firing off one of his missiles. Now seeing him fire off a second one, now taking a hard left. We can now see it from a different view, looking at the HUD. Now see him pulling away again. Some sped up footage there. And with that, that's the end of the video. But once again, really cool to see that Peppa MiG is in action over the skies of Ukraine and helping to defend the country the best he can. And go Peppa MiG, go. With that, we're now going to be moving out of the area there and on down into the southern front. Once again, nothing really happened in Donetsk today. The front line's really stable. And in the Kyiv area, we saw that some Russian soldiers got shelled. We can see the Russians wandering around through the rubble. A very normal scene, beginning every single artillery video. And we now see their artillery hitting them dead on. When you see that the entire row of houses in the small village that they're in have been completely destroyed. And it looks like they're also about to join the village and being completely destroyed. Raga NYC said, orcs feel at home in the rubble. Oh man, for some reason, Matthew, when he said that, I thought of Barney Rubble, you know, from the Fred Flintstone show. Hiya, Fred! Guess what I've done? What have you done, Barney? I've created fire! Flame! You know that story, Matthew?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you know, anyways, getting past the little joke, we can see that they are still hitting the Russians pretty well, and they're not doing all too well. Well. Getting hit again. And that's the end of the video, but once again, the Russians getting the short end of the stick, getting their minds blown, I guess you could say, in the Kyiv area. With that, we're now going to be moving on from the Zaporizhzhia area and on down into Kherson, where we actually saw a film come out today that we had not seen before. The Russians friendly fired one of their S-300s while leaving Kherson on accident. Here's the video. Someone just said easy targets, Matthew. Lemon Charm said that. You know, John Mellencamp.
Easy targets.
Easy targets. Anyway, here's the video.
What was the rest of the song? Like, how'd it go?
Let's see. I don't even know. I just remember watching that documentary. They're like, John Mellencamp's come up with a new song, and all you heard was ding ding, easy targets.
Yeah, kind of cringy.
Yeah. And here we can see the S-300, and we're about to see them hit it with a kamikaze drone. A whole incident of friendly fire. We see it coming in right now. You can see the Z clearly marked, but the Russians hit it because they have to.
Oh.
Oh.
Was that a shot head?
No, it was some other kind of suicide drone. But with that, I guess you could say that the friendly fire wasn't that friendly that day. Not friendly at all. And so that we're now going to be moving on from this clip and on into the next clip in Kherson, where we can see that this is a little bit of an unfortunate story, actually. And real quick, it's going to require me to change tone from the joking bits of that we've had tonight and all the jokes and such, and start talking about what we saw in Kherson today. Ukrainian authorities actually found, on top of the normal torture chambers that are usually found in most large Ukrainian towns that have been under occupation, they found one that was specifically geared towards children. And so apparently during the occupation in Kherson, the Russian forces had also been torturing children along with their parents, which adds a whole lot of darkness to what the Russians are probably still doing in occupied territory. And so here's a picture of the torture chamber. You see right there, it has a bunch of chairs, some water, of course, probably for the interrogators, or maybe for waterboarding, who knows. But it's terrible to think that people who live under Russian occupation have to live through such terrible things as having themselves and their children tortured, or just their children tortured alone for the sport of it, or nothing better than that. And so with that, that's the end of that little bit of news. Once again, a little bit, incredibly unfortunate to say the least. And hopefully the Russians that committed those crimes can be found and held accountable, not in a court, but on the field. And so with that, we're now going to be moving on out of Kherson and on up towards Kyiv, where it's time for us to listen to the speech from President Volodymyr Zelensky. And so without further ado, here is the speech from the one, the only, President Volodymyr Zelensky. And interestingly enough, as the war keeps on going, it seems as though his addresses are getting a little bit shorter. Now it's only 2 minutes and 30 seconds long. They used to be like 7 minutes long. And it doesn't allow me a halftime anymore. So with that, here's the video.
Бажаю здоров'я, шановні українці. Коротко про сьогоднішній день. Перше, є підтвердження макрофіну від Європейського Союзу для України на наступний рік. Обсяг 18 мільярдів євро. Це хороший результат. Друге, говорив з прем'єр-міністром Канади Трюдо. Хороша розмова, готуємо посилення нашої оборонної співпраці. Дякую прем'єр-міністру Джастіну Трюдо та усім канадцям за принципове лідерство в санкційній політиці. Кожен санкційний крок проти Росії за війну, який вже був зроблений вільним світом, реально допомагає нам наближати мир. Третє. Готуємо важливі міжнародні заходи на наступний тиждень. Те, що може дати Україні більше оборонної підтримки цієї зими, більше військових можливостей. Під час чергового російського обстрілу Херсону сьогодні снаряд поцілив в пункт допомоги Червоного Хреста. Загинула жінка, парамедик, волонтерка. Мої співчуття рідним. Лише від початку цієї доби Росія вже більше 16 разів обстріляла Херсон. Лише за один день. І так щодня. Сьогодні знову обстрілювались громади Харківської області. Сьогодні на Донбасі, як і в усі попередні тижні, продовжуються жорстокі російські атаки. Окупанти кидають в наступ усіх і усе, що тільки мають. Вони не можуть здолати нашу армію, а тому фізично знищують кожне місто і село, щоб не було жодних будівель, жодних навіть стін, які можна використовувати для будь-якої оборони. Єдиний шлях, як це припинити, це відтискати крок за кроком російських терористів з нашої української землі. Це продовжувати тиск на Росію. Це шукати нові і нові способи притягнути кожного російського терориста, кожного російського олігарха, який допомагає державі-терористу, і усім російським посадовцям і пропагандистам притягнути до відповідальності за все те, що вони роблять. Роблять проти України, проти свободи, як такої. Я дякую кожному і кожній, хто воює і працює для України. Я дякую усім, хто тримає фронт на Донбасі, на півдні, хто тримає кордон, хто захищає наше небо, захищає наших людей. Вічна пам'ять усім, хто віддав життя за свободу. Слава Україні!
With that, that is the end of the speech from President Volodymyr Zelensky, and that also wraps up our Day 296 summary. I thank you all so much once again for watching the news segment. We're about to be moving into the question segment, where we're going to answer all of the super chats that have come in and all of the live chats as well. But of course, if you have enjoyed this segment, make sure to slam that subscribe button, because we do this stream every single day of the week, except for Monday. If we take Mondays off, we will once again be taking Monday off, although it's day 300, but we will be running a premiere. It will be Matthew's video. It's a very good one, seen in the background, so make sure to tune in on Monday to check it out if you want to. And so with that, we are now going to be moving on into the question segment, and thank you all so much once again for watching the news. And so with that, Matthew, what do we got?
All right, so, excuse me there. We have 3 polls to address during our final question segment, and the first one said, an exploding gift was sent to a Polish police chief and sent him to a hospital, will these become more frequent? It looks like 54% said yes, mail bombs will be frequent, 30% said not sure, and 16% said no, these are only isolated instances. Now I think that with all the ones we've seen thus far, with the Ukrainian embassy mail bomb showing up as well, I think they're going to become more frequent. But Enforcer, what say you?
I would say that it will become more frequent. Those kinds of terrorism are usually easy to pull off and usually get the intended result, which is make everyone fear opening up their mail if they've ever done anything to go against the Russians. And so I would say that's probably going to become more prevalent as time goes by. And so with that, I hope I addressed that one fairly well. And we are on to the next one.
All right. And the next one says, who do you think is responsible for the mail bomb attacks on the Ukrainian embassy, etc.? It looks like 55% said the Russian FSB or government, 21% said Russian extremists, 14% said Wagner associates, and 10% said none of the above. For me, I have to say it's either the Russian FSB or extremists, but I would have to lean toward the Russian government. But Enforcer, what say you?
I would say it would probably more so be the Russian government that would be doing that, because it seems to be a little bit more organized than, just like some one-off things, just being done by random people. So I would largely have to agree with you and say it's probably the Russian government. And so with that, I hope that addresses that poll fairly well. And we are now on to, I think, the third one, which has only been up for about 2 minutes.
Yes, and it's only been up for 2 minutes, but let's go ahead and go over it. The poll says Ukrainian Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov believes that Ukraine should prepare for another Russian invasion. What are your thoughts? 57% said yikes, he must have solid intel. 9% said not sure. 32% said it's only a worst case contingency. And 2% said it's completely unnecessary. Now, I can rule out the fourth option because I don't think we're in any position to say it's completely unnecessary because the guy is actually on the ground in Ukraine. So I'd have to rule that option out for me. He must have solid intel to believe that. And that's kind of shocking because Russia is in a really bad position as it stands right now. And for them to be preparing for another invasion seems a little left field to me. But I don't know why they'd be saying that if it wasn't the case. So, Enforcer, what do you think?
I would say that I'm not really sure on that one. I'm going to fall within the 9% that said I'm not really sure because, once again, I'm not really into the idea of thinking that it is going to happen just for all the logistical reasons. But at the same time, the Russians don't work off of common sense. It may be happening. So I'm going to have to be honest. He is on the ground. They may have some really solid information to say that they need to prepare, but at the same time, it may just be a worst case contingency. So I'm not really sure, honestly. And so with that, I hope I addressed that one fairly well, at least in my opinion. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, so that was our last poll. So now we are having to move on to our super chats. And let's see here. Spreadsheet's acting up on me tonight a little bit. We have a $50 donation from Lemon Charms. And also, thank you very much for that support. Who says, do you think that Volodymyr Zelensky will trade Russian POWs for Paul Whelan? That would be badass.
I don't think he would. It's a really cool idea, though. And I think it would be pretty neat to do. But at the same time, it doesn't really provide Ukraine with much benefit. While it would be helping out the United States, they're probably going to be focusing on trying to get more of their own prisoners of war back in the future. And so they will probably only trade Russian prisoners for Ukrainian prisoners of war and not Paul Wheeler. But, once again, say what, Matthew?
Whelan.
Paul Whelan. For some reason, I was thinking like Wheeler from the Civil War. Anyways, for some reason, I got to be honest with you, Matthew. Zelensky's short speech threw me off because usually I have time to sit here for a second and collect my thoughts. And tonight I feel like it was like a flashbang for me with how short it was. So I'm I'm sitting here trying to keep it all together. But with that, I thank you so much once again for the support. And I would have to say they probably wouldn't, although that would be incredibly nice of them and very cool of them to do. And so with that, I hope that does answer the question fairly well. And thank you so much, Monsieur Limon, for the super chat and helping this channel to keep on running. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And I saw Deep8829 say, Enforcer Matt, how about a 2-hour and 5-minute video for Monday? Man, I couldn't do a 2-hour video to save my life. I simply don't have enough to talk about for 2 hours. But I think you're going to like the video coming out on Monday. It's a 5-minute video, but it's, I guess you could say, action-packed, info-packed, something like that. But I think you're going to like it. I'm finalizing it tomorrow, and I've been working on it all day today. Y'all be shocked at how long it takes to create a video. Just 5 minutes of video takes about 10 or 12 hours to get done, to write the script, do the editing, get all the assets, the pictures, the video, everything else, and do the research. It takes some time. But anyways, hopefully y'all like it. It's coming out Monday night on this channel and not my own. So with that being said, that little aside, we're moving back to our super chats. And now we have a $20 donation from BSG Wolf, who says, with it taking 6 months to train to use and maintain the Patriot system, the USA is saying they think the war will last at least 6 months to a year. What do you think, Enforcer?
I think that they have already trained Ukrainians on how to use the Patriot, so it's just a matter of sending them over, much like they've already trained Ukrainian pilots on the F-16, and that's really only a matter of sending them over at this point. And so I would say that them giving the Patriots doesn't necessarily mean they'll keep on going for another 6 months to a year. I think it means that there's already Ukrainian soldiers that have been trained on the system, and they're just awaiting the delivery of it to begin using it immediately. And so with that, I hope that answers the question fairly well, at least based off of what I'm seeing and assumptions. And, you know, not to toot my whistle, but my assumptions have fairly been accurate, especially considering what the General Barr said today from the actual Ukrainian military. I'm turning into Porky Pig over here, Matthew. I'm turning into freaking Porky Pig. What am I doing? Like, I'm sitting here trying to answer this, like, but anyways, I feel like it's most likely a reasonable assumption to go with. And so with that, I thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And with that, Buzzkid's going to go, hey, drinking time! And with that, we are on to the next one. Also, real quick, because I don't know if you've been around a long time, I say and so with that because that's Matthew's cue that we're moving on to the next one and have the next one ready. Because if I stop at random moments, he doesn't really know if I'm going to continue, if I'm thinking or something like that. And so it's a very clear cue that we're moving on to the next one. So I hope that explains why we do that. But it's still a fun drinking game, and so with that, we're on to the next one.
All right. So up next, we have a $20 super chat from Tony Fleming, who does not leave a comment. But Tony, thank you very much for that. And it's good to have a Tony that knows how to drive. You're not going to flip a truck over. We know that. You're in the LSA. It's impossible for you to flip the truck over. But Enforcer, what say you?
And I got to thank you so much, Tony, for the support, Tony. Hopefully you don't drive as badly as Tony in Russia. But I got to thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running. You're helping us to keep the lights on behind the scenes, helping us to put some bread in our mouths with some milk and maybe a little bit of butter. And if it wasn't for y'all, this wouldn't be possible. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the support. And with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again.
All right. So up next, we have a $20 super chat from Chip Kerwan, who says, Ukrainian forecast Russia tries an early 2023 big offensive. Is this Ukraine's info war, overloading Russia with 200,000 more naked, frostbitten, unfed, unarmed felon, Mobit Chaos 2.0? Or is it option B, Ukraine winning and winning with extra trolling for weirdo losing Putin?
I think it's really Ukraine winning and winning with weirdo trolling to loosen Putin, if that's the right way to say that. Because I don't see it happening. And I went over that a lot earlier in stream, but once again, to reiterate it, there's no tanks to give these soldiers, no artillery, no armored personnel carriers, hardly enough small arms to go around for 200,000 guys that are in reserve, and infantry equipment as well. And so they wouldn't even be equipped, for most of them wouldn't be. So I just don't see it happening, unless if the Russian supply situation is way better off than we've been led to believe, which I don't think is true, because just look at the Southeast and tell me it's great. And that's the only way I could see that working. I don't see it working any other way. So with that, I thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does answer the question fairly well. And I largely think it's trolling by the Ukrainians and something that may not actually happen. But once again, I can be proven wrong on that one, and we will just have to wait and see. And so with that, we are on to the next one. But thank you so much once again.
Also, Lemon Charms, we did answer that question just a moment ago. I'm not sure if you heard it, but we did go over that one. And let's see here. Up next, we have a $20 super chat from Larry Widener, who says, don't blame the VA for our crappy way our government treats veterans. It doesn't matter what party is in power. U.S. veterans have been under-cared for going back to World War I. I'm a U.S. Marine vet.
And thank you for the support, and that is true. But, of course, the VA is kind of the, I guess you could say, wing of the government. It is a institution of the government that has to carry out what the government does to veterans, and it's not good. It never has been good. And I was not trying to make the point that under anyone has it ever been better. Everyone really gives the short end of the stick or shafts veterans, and then they always sit there next election cycle when everyone's going in campaign. Our veterans are mistreated. They need better treatment. And everyone says that, and then no one ever gives it to them for one reason or another. And I think it's honestly I think it's honestly really lame to use that as a constant campaign thing. Look at how our veterans are treated. That's how this party thinks about America. And then the other party gets elected, whoever it is, and then they don't take care of the veterans either. And then the other one comes in and they don't get treated well. Also, if you're talking about specifically what happened to the veterans of World War I, that also had to do with the Great Depression, pretty much nearly bankrupting the government. And so they couldn't give out benefits to these soldiers. And so then they got screwed over, and then they set up a little camp in the Washington Mall, which is right here. This part actually used to not exist. This used to be the War Department. But anyways, they hung out around here, and then Herbert Hoover did the brilliant decision, which probably is the reason why he was one-term president, to have them run off by shooting at them with machine guns, running them down with tanks, and throwing tear gas at them. Which was not a smart idea and didn't really help out with his, I guess you could say, public image, and probably the reason why he only was a one-term president. So I hope that explains that a little bit, but you are entirely true. It's been going back for a while. It usually goes back in a lot of countries. In fact, it's a historical trend in all countries, really, that veterans don't get taken care of well. If I, and of course, everyone always has lofty goals, but if I became president, I'd actually try and see about cutting funding to other institutions and diverting just the same money we have towards veteran affairs, because it's really shocking to think that a lot of these men and women give the prime years of their life and pretty much their body to the military, usually coming out of it worse for wear than they would have been otherwise, and we don't give them the kind of medical coverage and support that they should be getting for what they went through. It just doesn't seem right. So with that, I thank you so much once again for support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well, and you are correct on that. And so with that, we are on to the next one, and thank you so much once again for your support and your service to not only the Lee Spring Army, but also to the U.S. Marine Corps as well.
All right, and up next, we have a $20 donation from Justice Ryan. He says, what's going on with those Leopard 2 tanks? First, Germany says they're going to send them, and then they're not. They would help a lot when the March offensive begins.
I think the reason why the tank thing has kind of disappeared is because, once again, the Germans are kind of going through that old-fashioned waffle thing that they do with everything, but they will make it there eventually. If Panzerhaubitze 2000s were able to make it, along with Iris-Ts, I do not doubt at all that a simple Leopard 2A4 could make it into Ukraine. It's just a matter of giving the Germans their usual amount of time to make things a little bit overcomplicated. Let's see. Also, Bill, one second, I'll get to that. But I think that they will eventually make it in there. It'll just be a matter of time. And so with that, I thank you so much once again for support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And with that, we're going to be moving on to the next one. But before we do, Bilbo Jenkins said, I don't think you're becoming president after last night. The sound clips against you will be insane. Sorry, bro. Hey, it's not that bad. There's been people out there who have done a lot worse than that. And anyways, it wasn't anything terrible.
It was only locker room talk.
Listen, it was locker room banter. Everyone talks like that. I'm not the only one. Go ask anyone. Go ask Chuck Schumer. Go ask John.
Yeah, wait a minute. What was his name? Damn it.
Mike Pence. Just ask them all. They've all talked like that at one point or another. I'm not the only guy. The only people who think that nobody talks like that is people like Rosie O'Donnell out there doing their thing.
But with that,
you can write off everything's locker room talk. That's just like the catch-all for everything. It's like, say something heinous and you're like, no, that's just locker room talk.
Also, Bilbo Jenkins said, I'm just razzing you, man. I know, but it was a pretty good comment though. It was pretty fair, honestly, and pretty funny. But with that, also, someone said, he's in the building. like Jim B said that like it's a crazy person, like they just busted through the door. He's in the building, I repeat, he's in the building. But with that, we are on to the next one.
Oh, and also, I don't want to get like political or anything, but Enforcer, did you read that comment from Marcia Tucker?
No, I don't even read political stuff, because if I do, there's always... we're not getting into that though.
Marcia, I've got to say, I'm not even gonna get into it, but that blew my mind when I saw that today. Just absolutely caught me by surprise, to say the least. But anyways,
wait a minute, what? Wait a minute, hang on. Wait a minute. Let me. I just saw that. Let me pull that up.
It's a real thing. It's a real thing. I checked.
And who?
Oh, I don't want to say his name. I thought we were trying to not be political.
I think I know who, but let me see.
The orange guy.
What? Oh my god!
Yeah, it's real. Yep,
What?
it's real.
Wait, we're gonna have to move on. I'm sorry. We're gonna. That is insane. And if I can't say it outright because, of course, we can't talk about anything intently political on this channel due to the rules it laid out. But that's insane. I've never seen that before, and that's also just crazy. Like that's truly just out there. But anyways, we're on to the next one.
All right. So up next, we have a $20 super chat from Larry Widener, who says, "Look up what MacArthur did to disperse the World War I vets in D.C."
And also, I think we just talked about that a little bit a while ago, didn't we, Matthew?
Yes.
We did. We did. Let me pull this up for y'all because I'm sure it's a Wikipedia page. World War I veterans march on Washington. Here we go. Look at that. So the bonus army. There we have it. When you see them clashing with the cops right here. Oh boy, look at that. Man, that one guy got walloped. Look, his hat's still in there where his head was. Hey. Golly, and what are these, bricks? Like, they were going ham out here. Also, this guy right here, he's got like fire in his face, so you can tell he's angry. But anyways, this, in a simple explanation, was it was really, like I explained earlier. It's not really me having to come up with a new story. It's the same one. They didn't get their benefits because the country was going through the Great Depression and could hardly pay for anything. And so these guys marched on Washington to get their benefits, and then Herbert Hoover had them broken up. And let me see if I can find some more stuff about this. Here's actually the veterans hanging out on the lawn of the Capitol building. Pretty interesting picture. I'm trying to find the one of the tanks. You can see their
the days when you could walk right up to the Capitol.
You still can, but nowadays Capitol Police will harass you, make you feel unwelcome.
I put that big old fence up around it.
Well, they took that down actually a while ago, I think.
I thought they still have it up.
No, I don't think. Let's go to Google Maps. Let's see if they have a recent satellite picture. Oh, going to Alabama. Why? Let's go to Washington D.C. and drop down there, and let's see if we can find out if that's true or not. So this was taken in October of 2022, and the gate's gone. So you can walk right up onto the lawn and everything around the Capitol.
Turn around behind it and see there's a fence behind it.
Nope.
Huh.
Yeah, it's gone.
Well, they took it down. How about that?
And also, I love that statue of Grant. I think this is a really nice, like, I guess I could say, like, statue grounds, because it's a multiple statue ordeal, and I love the statues to the sides. I love statues like those, where it shows multiple soldiers carrying a flag or something similar. Those always look really good, and I love these standalones around Grant's monument. Anyways, the fence is, I repeat, the fence is down. I repeat, the fence is down. But moving on from that, they were hanging out in the lawn. We can also see here, what is this a picture of? It looks like that's some kind of a demonstration. I don't think those are the guys who got killed. But let's see here. We see the bonus armies camp on fire because, you know, they were broken up and dispersed. I can't find any pictures of the tanks, however. Let me go and try and find pictures of the tanks. Bonus army. Tanks. Images. We go to images. Here we go. The Renault FTs that they still had, and I believe they even brought in some of the newer M2A2s, if I'm correct. But let me try and find the pictures and see if I am correct, as a matter of fact. See a picture right here. See the mounted police backed up by Renault FTs. Pretty insane when you think about it. They broke up veterans. Like, you know, like, thank you for your service. It's great that y'all are asking for benefits that you're owed by the government, but get out of here or we're going to shoot you. And they actually ended up killing 2 of them. You can actually see that on Wikipedia right here. They ended up killing 2 of the guys, and then injured 55 of them, and then 69 nice police got injured. So pretty interesting all around. But with that, thank you so much once again for the support. And not really giving benefits to the military, well, veterans of the military, is something that's been an age-old problem. And something that I always find funny, because that's been a usual pro-Russian kind of argument, is that money that we're spending in Ukraine could be spent to help fix homelessness, help out the veterans. It's like, no, it can't, because it never has been fixed. Maybe one day we'll fix it, but it's not going to be anytime soon, probably. But with that, we are on to the next one. Thank you so much once again for the support and bringing that up so we can cover it again.
All right. And up next, we have a $20 super chat from Judy McDonough, who says, "Hi, Enforcer and Enforcer Matt. Could you please wish my grumpy friend Ralph Allen a happy birthday? I've made him watch your channel since Moscow Mike, and I think he's warming up to you. LSA in 2040. Heart Judy's. Judy, excuse me.
And thank you so much for the support. And also, happy birthday to Ralph Allen. That, like, I've been watching since Moscow Mike, and he's finally warming up to us. It's been taking him a while. How long? Like 250 days? But still, I'm glad to hear that he is warming up to us. And happy birthday again, Ralph Allen. I'm sorry that you've been tortured to watch this stream. You'd probably be wanting to watch something else, but I still thank you so much for spending your time watching this channel. And once again, happy birthday to you. And I hope you've been having a fun time watching tonight. And I hope it's been an interesting and informational night as well. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support.
All right. And up next, we have a $20 super chat from KG, who says, I think Russia will really try something, even faint, from Belarus. The interesting thing is the UAF will destroy them. And if Belarus military is there, the UAF could then go into Belarus and, quote-unquote, liberate.
I would say maybe. I just don't think so, though, because they attack. And also, if the Russians attack from Belarus again, the Ukrainians aren't going to start an offensive into Belarus, because that would have happened before under the same circumstances. So I don't think they'll be doing that. And I don't think the Russians will be pushing an offensive from Belarus either, because it's just not logistically possible anymore. It's just not viable. It's not strategically foreseeable, in my opinion. I just don't see it happening, but apparently they have information to show that they will be trying, and if they do, I will be surprised, to say the least. But with that, I thank you so much once again for the support while I'm struggling to, for some reason, stop myself from burping. I thank you so much once again for support and helping this channel to keep on running. And with that, you know it, we're on to the next one.
And the next one goes to Radzma, who puts in a $20 donation and says, has the origin of the name The Enforcer ever been explained? Hopefully that's not your address. I didn't catch that earlier, but let's see. Enforcer, you can be answering that question while I look and see what this address is to.
Got you. First off, I thank you so much for the support. And to answer the story of where the Enforcer name came from, the Enforcer is my name on a lot of games, you know, particularly Steam. I'm sure I'm going to be getting a lot of friend requests on Steam after this. But my in-game name was the Enforcer. Originally, it was my real name. My original gaming name was Captain Andrew 11. But after a while of having that, I literally made that name when I was 11 years old, hence the name 11. I was getting older, and I was like, you know, that doesn't really do it anymore. It's not really that cool of a gaming name. So let me come up with something cool that people will be like, oh, wow, that's super cool. So I came up with the Enforcer, and I first used that name on a game called For Done, which was a World War I first-person shooter game. After that, just played around on, you know, with that account name for several years, and then I created this YouTube channel, which was originally called Think Tank, and then that bombed, and so I came back as a gaming channel, and I was called The Enforcer, and then after that, it just stuck. And then when I started covering Ukraine war news, I didn't want to change my entire channel name again back to Think Tank, because it apparently wasn't that much of a good name. And so I was like, you know what? People will like this channel whether it has a good name or a relevant name or not. I'm just going to keep it as The Enforcer, and that'll be it. And so that's where the name The Enforcer came from. It's not really supposed to be like I'm enforcing the news or anything like that. It's really just my game name. And so, you know, it just stuck around, and that's the name of the channel now. It's become the entire identity of the thing. And so with that, I hope that answers the question fairly well. And I think we've got information from Matthew as to whether that second part is readable or not. And so what do we got, Matthew?
And it is readable, and it is meant to say from Lockheed Martin.
Lockheed Martin?
Yes, from 1011 Lockheed Way in Palmsdale, California.
1011 Lockheed. I spelled that right. Lockheed Way in Palmdale, California?
That's it. That's it.
Well, what do you know? We got someone sending us a super chat from Lockheed Martin. That is cool. That is so freaking cool. And we were just talking about them the other day. Man, that's neat. Yeah, could we have like a company PR package sent to us? You know, that would be cool.
Or a
wouldn't it?
sneak peek at the next airplanes being made.
You know what? Better yet, if you actually have access, could you see about us maybe getting a tour of? So, oh look, they've got a B-2 just sitting out there on the tarmac. Wow, isn't
That's
this
pretty
neat? Could you see about getting us in contact with Lockheed's PR department? Because maybe we could make an in-person video about what's going on out there at Lockheed Martin. Maybe some of the projects that are public. Maybe the prototype, I believe.
Wait a minute, is that Skunkworks?
Skunkworks where?
Wait a minute, where's Skunkworks located?
Skunksworks. I don't know. I don't really know, but this is really cool to hear that we actually got a super chat from Lockheed Martin, someone who works at Lockheed Martin itself. Let's take a look at the building. Oh, wait a minute. Is this the Skunkworks division of Lockheed Martin?
It is Skunkworks.
That is so cool. It's not just Lockheed Martin. It's the Skunkworks department of Lockheed Martin.
So Rajma is in the top division of Lockheed Martin.
That would be that's really cool. He's like one of the primo guys at Lockheed Martin, the ones that really get really cool stuff done. Everyone at Lockheed Martin does tremendous work in the defense industry, but Skunkworks is the one that's always doing, at least from what we know, the coolest stuff out of everyone at Lockheed Martin. So super cool. That is really cool. High honor actually to have someone like you watching our stream and finding it worthwhile to support. And so thank you so much once again for supporting the channel. And also, that's so freaking cool. Actually, Matthew, I'm actually kind of flipping out from that. I'm actually really hyped. That is so.
Do you know why they call it Skunkworks?
No. Is this like a joke?
Well, no. They call it Skunkworks because there's so many like secrets they're keeping in the building. It reeks.
Really? Is that why they call it that?
Yeah.
The way you said that quietly, I feel like you're lying. Why is Skunkworks called that? Let's see. An engineer named was a fan of Al Cap's newspaper comic Lil Abner. In the comic, there was a running joke about a mysterious and malodorous place deep in the forest called the Skunkworks, where a strong beverage was brewed from skunks, old shoes, and other strange ingredients. So that's where the name comes from, you liar. You freaking...
A skunk?
A skunk.
Is that like a stonk?
I guess. I mean, stonks. When the U.S. government bombs the Iraqis out in the first day of the invasion of Iraq, skunks. Anyway.
I just want you to know, though, Enforcer, you sat there for a solid minute believing, or at least partially believing what I said.
Man, well, yeah, because you were saying it so seriously, Matthew. Like, I believe you to say credible stuff on stream, not just jokes.
I'm getting good at BSing this stuff.
Well, I mean, you might not want to get too well, or we may not be known as a credible source of news. But with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running all the way from Lockheed's Skunkworks division in Palmdale, California. And so with that, we are on to the next one.
And also I saw, let's see, Xmojo say, "Trust me, bro." And yes.
Trust me, bro.
And the Enforcer almost got hurt over that one. So, moving on to our next super chat, we have one from Avari Mandubratis, who puts in a $15 donation and says, "I think we need your Orange Man impersonation to visit the Lata website and drool over the 2023 models. Maybe Sam Elliott could argue with the Orange Man. Do you accept the challenge?"
I accept the challenge, Avari.
Oh, Fuchsia Cone, you didn't have to rush me like that.
Fuchsia. Oh, rip.
That's hardcore.
Let's see. Choose your car, Lada.
Granta.
The Lada Grana is the best car out of all the cars in the country. No one ever does cars like Lada, or Vesta, or X-Ray, or the Largus, or the Nina Travel, or the
Why did they all
Niva
look the same?
Legend. They're all the same cars. In fact, you can even get a 5... Oh, finally, it changed. It's a great car.
Looks like the front of a Hyundai.
It looks like something that a kid would draw in 3rd grade. Absolutely zooted out of his mind off of huffing Sharpies. Not something I would buy. But one thing I would buy are my trading cards. I actually put some out. Oh god, I can't even believe that. Like, that's something else. But anyways,
that looks just like a Subaru, that SUV. I forgot the exact name of it. I think Outback or something like that. Looks very close to it.
That Subaru SUV. Ah, yes, that Subaru
Dang.
SUV. Golly, that's a
Press
lot.
images. Let's see. No, that doesn't. No.
No.
Mm-mm. Well, maybe it was a different one. I don't know. I usually know my cars pretty well, but Subaru's not really fitting the bill.
It's not really, Matthew. I think you're full of it this time. I think you are.
I think it might have been an older model. These look new. I haven't even seen these before.
Well, I mean,
The Largus.
Ew!
Can I get me one of those Largus? How many people need to fit in? I need a vehicle that's a Largus.
Have you ever wanted to be a soccer mom and at the same time the most hated person on earth due to the look of your car? Then you ought to get yourself the Largus station wagon. This thing puts the large in Largus. And let me tell you, you've got to be a fat... I can't cuss. You've got to be a fat person to try and drive this thing around. Filled with the grease of your own self-ambitions, yet you can't ever achieve them, and your car will exhibit the same thing about you to the rest of the world. Come and get yourself a Largus.
Actually, that is the worst sales presentation I've ever heard. Let me try and give one.
And that's the sound of knuckles, Greg.
The Largus is the hugest car for the hugest people. Think Rosie O'Donnell, but even bigger. This thing is going to carry around all of your hopes and dreams and all of the fake votes you get whenever you have to. It's the best thing ever. They say that the car world is rigged, and this thing is going against the system. It's really going to sit there and make you stand out. It'll even make you stand out better than buying my NFTs that make me look like, whatchamacallit. Let me look at this guy again.
A lot of salesmen.
Wait a minute, hang on. Not a lot of salesmen. I'm trying to think about something else. What the hell? I'm honestly in absolute aghast at this. It looks like a ripoff Homelander. It's terrible. I've got to be honest with you. This isn't even political. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I already hate NFTs, and that's got to be the stupidest thing ever. But moving on from that, the Largus is really going to help me out. Melania is going to fit perfectly in this thing. After she gets through with me, she'll fit perfectly in this thing with all the alimony I have to pay. And it's going to be a tremendous amount. It's going to be billions and billions of dollars.
Now listen here, Donald. What?
How much is this thing? Like 6,770, what is that, the symbol for rubles?
Rubles. Let's find out. Rubles to dollar. Ruble is worthless. Worth about a penny.
It's
so
1 cent.
678,000. $10,000.
$10,000. So let's see. What would be the equivalent of a Largus in the United States? Like, go back to the picture of it.
Gee, I don't know,
Let's
man.
see.
You can't
I'm
buy
thinking
a new
about a
car for that
minivan.
price.
No, you definitely can't buy a new car for that. But this might only last you maybe 6 months. Yeah, the most.
Yeah, I think it lasts less, like 3 months, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to last very long.
Well, there's a different model that Cross.
What's the difference? A higher suspension?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
It looks like this one's shorter. Also, I love how when they take pictures of these, because I guess, the people who buy Ladas are so unintelligent that they have to put a giant fake tag on the front of each car, like with the name on it, Largus, and then Largus Cross.
Yeah.
How cheap. What kind of special features does this thing have? Because we already know what kind of
Wait
features.
a minute. Go to the car loan program. The Lada, go down. Lot of finance. I want a whole lot of finance.
Let's see.
Click on that. Interest rates on the loan are lower than basic offers of partner banks. Scroll down and see.
Let's
Pick
see.
up the car.
Pick up the car. Choose your car. You want the Largus. Calculate the
Calculate the loan.
Huh.
So how much would that be a month? How much is 569 rubles per month?
Probably nothing. It's probably like a couple of dollars, $5.79. $8.96
Man,
a month.
would that be a hell of a car payment or what? $9 a month?
$9.
That is crazy.
That
tells you a lot about their income over there in Russia.
That tells you a lot about the economy. What's the average income of a Russian? Average monthly income of a Russian citizen. Of a Russian. So the average salary is around 29,000 rubles a month in Dagestan. So let's put that in. 29,000. So the average salary in Dagestan is $448 a month.
Jeez. Oh, still $9 a month for a car payment. That's really not bad.
Let's see. But you know, that's probably on the high end. Like, let's go onto this website. Let's see what the lowest one is. Sheesh! You go live in Spakov, and you're getting 25,000 rubles a month on average. Kyiv. Oh, hey, get back. Let's see. I gotta tell you, they're making nothing in Russia, but that car payment is also nothing as well. That is the price of a Starbucks coffee a month for a car payment. They're poor.
That's crazy.
They're really poor if that's an average car payment. But what's Comfort Light get you? 520 rubles a month.
7 places, it says.
Oh, wait a minute.
7 places of what?
Wait a minute. I think the basic equipment is what they're actually paying. They're not paying this one. That's an additional amount on top of that. That's what they're actually paying, is like 13,883. So that's half of your monthly income going into a payment on this car. Yikes! That's actually a lot.
There goes the house.
Yeah, there goes the house. Well, do they even live in houses? They mostly live in apartments.
There goes the apartment.
Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the impressions, and I hope you enjoyed us also rabbit-holing about the Ladas again. They're always so fascinating to look at because they're so crappy, so cheap, yet so bizarre. But with that, thank you so much once again for the support, and we are on to the next one. Thank you, Avari, for being a longtime channel viewer and a longtime channel supporter. And with that, on to the next one.
All right, and up next, we have a $10 super chat from Kevin Gladman, who says, from Uckfield in the UK, quiet, old in the sticks town. Back in the day, you looked at pointless, expensive houses. Check out Van Hoogstraten Mansion, cost 40 mil. Then check out his background. Enjoy.
Let's see, Van Hoogstraten, how do you spell that?
Van Hoogstraten. So Hoogstraten.
Ah, yes. A typical property criminal. He's a British businessman involved in property and a convicted criminal. In 1968, he was convicted and sent to prison for 4 years after playing... Wait, hang on. Let me get my right British voice on. In 1968, he was convicted and sent to prison for 4 years after paying a gang to attack a business associate. In 2002, he was sentenced to 10 years for the manslaughter of a British rival. The verdict was overturned on appeal, and he was subsequently released, but in 2005 he was ordered to pay the victim's family £6 million in a civil case. A huge mansion, Hamilton Palace near Uckfield, in East Sussex, which Van Hoogstraten, or whatever the hell, began building in the mid-1980s, remains unfinished and uninhabited. So let's go and look at this house. Let's see. Hamilton Palace. Wait a minute, I'm sure that you can find it on Google Images. I'm sure it's an attraction of sorts. Oh, let's see. Hamilton Palace. And good lord, Indy Andy coming in. But we'll get to that in a second. Well, let's just type it in. Hamilton Palace near... Oh, wait, well, let me look at town first, and then we'll go look at that. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry, everyone. Wow, this is actually a really busy town.
Yeah, I would say.
Like, geez. This is like what you would imagine a village to be busy like. There's people all walking down the streets and stuff. A lot of shops. I mean, like, they have 1 million shops in this town, too. And HSBC, the Hong Kong Shanghai Banking Corporation, which has been involved in many scams and scandals over the course of their history. Not really scams, but more so scandals. But, what Really cool town. Also, I always love like the clothes stores in Britain because it's like what you would think they would be. Like they're exactly what you would think, like with the storefronts and everything. But a really nice town. But now let's go look at Hamilton Palace. Hamilton Palace. Embroiled in killings and all kinds of questionable stuff. So, here, we found it.
It's got a bad review. It's got 3 stars.
High Cross Estate. 2 reviews. I'm in, and what an absolutely beautiful building, but what a shame it'll never get finished. But let's take a look at it. Like, what does it look like, though? And now we can't click on it. Hang on. Is it on private?
Can you see it from the street?
Can we? I think there's like a tree line blocking. Yeah, it's blocking the view. Let's just type it in. Hamilton Palace. Hamilton Palace. So, here it is. That's a tiny picture. I'll have you know. Here's another one.
Dang.
Oh, wow,
Dang, Hoogstrand was living large.
Man, this man was living large. He was killing it in the mansion. He was also killing his business associates. My goodness, that is one hell of a place. Man, look, he was like building even additional buildings down there. Crazy. Really, it would have looked really nice, but it's not that nice now. And so thank you so much for the support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And I wonder if they're ever going to grade this as a like a grade 1 building, a Title 1 building, I think it is in Britain, and try and preserve it or something, although it's brand spanking new. But with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support and allowing us to take a look at your hometown and Hamilton Palace. And so with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support.
All right, so up next, we have a $100 super chat from Indy Andy 4C. And Andy, that is very generous of you, and thank you so much for that very large support. Andy says, Enforcer and Matt, go back. Remember the old sweaty gym socks, clothes, and trash on the runway to spell out a nasty message. That was intentionally done. That B2 has a Ukrainian cross on it. Look at this with your satellite, read them and weep.
Thank you so much for the support, Indy Andy. Thank you for the massive support. That is incredible. And I honestly, I have to be honest, I don't know how people afford to support us like that sometimes, but I thank you so much, Indy, because that helps us to keep this channel running a whole load. And so thank you so much once again. And let's go to that B2. Where was it? It was up here. I don't think that's a Ukrainian cross, but maybe it is. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. This B2 looks like it's seen better days. For sure. It's a bad looking B2. Probably the one that was the prototype. And it's probably been, sent for work. But it's been having better days, that's for certain. But maybe it's a Ukrainian cross. I won't rule it out, but at the same time, it doesn't look like it's even flight worthy. But with that, thank you so much once again for the support in the Andy 4C. You're helping this channel to keep on running. With being the absolute channel legend that you are, and you're also helping to keep us running behind the scenes, so that way we can make sure to live through each and every day with food in our bodies, breath in our lungs, and the ability to keep this channel running. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the support, Benny1018. And with that, we're on to the next one. And thank you once again for being a Lee Spring Army old guard.
Yes. And up next, we have a $10 super chat from Cliff H, who says on YouTube, late show, quote-unquote, a very Cold War Christmas, animated, kind of long, but a plug for the #IsPotato campaign feed, Ukraine. Merry Christmas.
And thank you so much for the support. And someone actually sent that to me last night. And I did watch it, and it was pretty freaking good. That was a really good little thing, and I thought it was great. If any of y'all haven't seen it, y'all should go watch it. It's just bizarre and funny at the same time. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support and pointing out a great animated project.
And next up, we have a $10 super chat from Anonymouse, who does not leave a comment. But thank you very much, Anonymouse, for that support. And Enforcer, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yes, I do. I would like to thank you so much for the support. And while we always talk about Of course, major super chats like Indianis, who was $100. Impressive. I don't know how people support us like that, but I thank them so much. But one thing I gotta say is that everyone who throws in $10 super chats, $1 super chats, I gotta thank y'all so much as well. And it's something that's incredible to think that people enjoy this channel so much that they would support it at all. And for some, that may be as much as they can support. And so I gotta thank y'all so much once again for all the support y'all give us to help this thing keep running behind the scenes. Any support counts. Any support helps out a great deal, and I gotta thank y'all so much for it. Each and every one of y'all. Y'all help this channel to keep running, and we owe everything to y'all. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well. On that, we're on to the next one, buddy.
All right, and the next one goes to the Big Cheese, who puts in a $10 donation and says, there is a new bulletproof vest that has scales inside, and it works well. However, I'm sure that it is not the same vest that I saw tested over 309 mil rounds where it held up.
Probably not. I don't think that scale armor will hold up that well because there's a lot of weak points in it because they all have to be conjoined together, and those conjoinments are weak points that will probably lead it to fall apart eventually. But I would say yeah, it's probably not the same one, to be honest with you. But with that, I thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one. Also, Giuseppe D'Angelo is saying, I've been to Glasgow. I agree.
Giuseppe.
It's Giuseppe. Yeah, sorry, Giuseppe.
Giuseppe.
Why? Well, you just led me into saying it wrong, Matthew.
Giuseppe.
Giuseppe said, I agree it's a poor Glaswegian accent, but he's trying. And there's multiple accents in Glasgow depending on if you're east or west. I'm sorry, y'all. I know I don't do that well at accents. I know. And a lot of them require a lot of practice. And I haven't done a Scottish one in a very long time, and so it is very poor quality. And I do apologize to any Scottish viewers. If we are offending you, that's not the intent. It's the intent to get a laugh. And so with that, we are on to the next one. Thank you so much once again for the support.
All right, and up next, we have a $10 super chat from Oats Air, who says, I'm donating a question, even though I can't hear it. Good night, LSA, and Slav Ukraine.
And thank you, Oats Air, for donating a live chat. You've been here all the time, helping this channel to keep on running and in the live chat, and we've seen you a whole load. And I thank you so much once again for supporting this channel and allowing us to get to a live chat a little bit early. And so with that, what do we got, Matthew?
The live chat question goes to Dale Alaticus, who says, Enforcer, could you recognize a Russian tank model if it was not blown up first?
Yeah, I can. I can recognize them all. Let's see if... Russian...
I think Dale meant to ask, could you recognize a Russian tank model if it was blown up?
Yes, I can. I can also recognize them then. So, let's see. Let me click on this. It says it's a quiz. Let's do this quiz real quick if it's not too long.
It's an RT quiz?
It's an RT quiz. We're gonna start it. This is a T-5455. How in the world will you call this an M1 Abrams? Is this a quiz for idiots? This is a KV2. It's not just a KV, it's a KV2. Come on. That is a T-72B, T-72B3 specifically. They're not even getting specific with it. T-14 Armada, duh. That is what Russia will be using in 3 months' time, the T-26. That right there is a T-34. Well, that's so confusing. That's confusing as hell because they got a T-34-85, an ISU-152, an IS-3 behind that. We'll say a T-55 further back there. It's a T-34, though, at the front. Let's see. What were the drawbacks of the Soviet heavy tank KV? What drawbacks are you talking? Oh, wow. Look, Matthew.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
Oh, look at that. Look, they actually marked it as wrong. Look.
Incorrect, but thanks for the vote of confidence.
Okay, so the real answer, if it was honest, it was extremely slow and hard to maneuver, but it's not going to
hard to maneuver.
This thing right here was actually designed to survive an atomic blast. It's the Object 279. They only made like 2 of them, and none of them really worked well, so they ditched the project.
It was designed for Mars?
No.
Looks like it.
No. Let's see. But anyways, we did that quiz, and it looks like Russia Today designed it for like idiots or something. It wasn't even really that tough.
For Russians.
Oh, wow. Wow. I mean, like, is this one better?
This is made by Toastmaster 21.
It's not even loading, so we're not going to do that one. What about this one? Tanks of the Soviet Union. What the hell? It was this one. Yeah. No, I'm not doing that one because you gotta click submit and then you get the scores. That's not fun. Anyways, I hope that answers the question fairly well. We can identify them: exploded, unexploded, cooked, medium well, well done, rare, medium well, medium rare, however you want to cook your tank, we can identify it. So that, thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and up next, we have a $10 super chat from Psyops.
Oh, he's back.
Who says, please be kind to one another and always remember, don't sweat the petty things and don't, Psyops. He put in a Psyops style super chat. I almost read it off too. He says, I'm not sure how to reword that either, but he says, don't sweat the petty things.
Well, thank you so much for the support, Saps. It's good to have you back. We've noticed that you've been taking a couple of days off and you're on company time, pal. I'm just kidding. But I got to thank you so much for being the hype guy you are when you were in the live chat. Everyone loves to see you around. I love to hear your jokes. They're always funny. We couldn't hear that one, though, sadly. But I got to thank you so much once again for the support. And we don't sweat the little things, but you know, one thing I don't like, because I know what that's about. I don't like the idea of me and another channel accidentally having beef, apparently because people are like going from one channel to the next, and his fans are coming over here and starting beef, or our fans are accidentally misinterpreting something or coming up with something and then coming over here and starting beef. I don't like the idea of that. Because we don't really want to have a beef with anyone. We didn't have a beef with that channel initially, and we're not saying the name because I know it's going to start a load of drama if we do, because people will misunderstand this and go over there and say he's talking trash or whatever. We're going to deal with this behind the scenes with him, but I really don't like the idea that happened, and it's nothing to sweat over. We'll just fix it, and hopefully the hatchet will be buried in between the two channels. But it's not great to think about, and I don't really like it because I generally want to get along with everyone on YouTube if possible, and that one's been going on for a little bit too long. And at this point, like the other day, like when we heard that the channel was talking crap about us, which they weren't, we were like, come on, we're not wanting any drama, we're not even talking about anything, saying anything, yada yada yada, blah blah blah, and still, anyways. With that, I thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one. And no, Lemon Charms, we did not miss your super chat. It was like one of the first ones read off.
I don't know what was up with that, because they put in a decent amount of support earlier, and they just went berserk and started cursing us out because we didn't get to their super chat, their second one, in enough time that they thought it was appropriate. It was in the queue, and I said that, and I was being very polite, but they decided to start cursing us out. So that's one of those strange occurrences where you're not really sure if it was a bot or what the hell that was about.
Well, regardless, I don't know why that is. I mean, like, we don't get the super chats based off of, we get out to super chats based off of the value. If the super chat is higher in number, of course we want to get to them first because they're helping this channel to keep on running to a massive degree. So we always want to get to them first. So if you send in like a $10 super chat, it may be a while before we get to it. That's just how it works. We're not skipping over it though. But with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, so moving on to our next super chat, we have one from Danny Coe, who puts in a $7 donation and says, old adage, don't believe half of what you read and question the rest. That's why we must read and view a wide variety of sources and use our common sense knowledge to draw our own conclusions. Great streams.
And thank you so much once again for the support. And I do highly encourage that. I think that people should go and check multiple sources, and I'm only one. And of course, me being me, I think that I report accurate information as best as we can, although there are faults found here and there, and we try and correct them the best we can. But I say that just because I think that I report pretty good news doesn't mean that this should be the only channel y'all watch. Y'all should get a little bit of a variety and go around and read things from different people, because I'm not going to be right on everything. And one thing that we learned is that the Ukrainians moved so quickly in Kherson that I was wrong on just about everything in terms of the timetable there, and they blew through it. I mean, like, I would be like, in 2 weeks they'll do this, and then 2 days later they did it instead. So I would, it's just pretty interesting to see, things like that happen. But I do say that people should get multiple sources. Don't ever trust me 100%. Of course, at the same time, don't, just be rude and just try and cause a fight or something. But always go around and make sure that you have multiple sources to read off of and come up with your own ideas of what you think is plausible. But with that, I thank you so much once again for the support, and I entirely agree with that. And so with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and up next, we have a $5 super chat from Chaotic. We also have a $5 super chat from Suze K. Sullivan, and thank you both for that super chat support. Sadly, no comments to address, but we do appreciate it nonetheless. And moving on to our next one, we have a $5 super chat from Fushia Kone, who says, seriously, should Ukraine work to pollute Russian supplies with overcharged ammo? And yes, like Kentucky ballistics. If so, how? Partisans or special ops?
Get that thing away from me! Oh man, it's the same question from last night. Okay, I'm not going to make the same mistake I made last night. I think that smuggling in overloaded ammo, to say it in a good way that will never be misinterpreted, I think that would probably be pretty interesting to see. Of course, overloading a gun pressure-wise can, of course, damage it, kill, maybe wound or kill the operator. So I think that would be an interesting thing to try and slip in, but I don't know how they would get that into the Russian supply chain. But still, a pretty good idea. And so with that, I hope that answers the question fairly well. I'm sweating and shaking right now because I'm trying to not make the same accidental mistake we had last night on that question. And with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support.
All right, and we dodged a bullet tonight. So up next, we have a $5 super chat from Harry Knuckles, who says, hello, do you think the U.S. will give Ukraine F-16 more HIMARS and the ATACMS missiles?
I think that the U.S. will give more HIMARS missiles over in general. I don't know about the ATACMS, though, because it seems like that's one thing that we will not give. Probably the reason being that the range is so far that it can only be used outside of Ukraine and used to target Russia, and so we don't really see a need or a necessity to send those weapons. So I think that we'll continue to supply the HIMARS, but I don't know about sending over the ATACMS. And so with that, I thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right. And up next, we have a $5 super chat from Jose Gonzalez. And I know what Jose is trying to do here. So Jose thought he was going to get me on this. He said, could you shout out my friend in North Korea, or excuse me, in Korea, South Korea, I assume. She's a big fan. Her name is Happy Birthday.
Can you send that to me over Discord real quick so that way I can see what it is?
It's let's see here. How do I say it? Sleeping Putin.
Sleeping Putin. Interesting.
I'll send it to you after all.
Interesting. I'll take a look at that. Let's see what we got right here.
Do you see it?
Yeah, I do. That's actually pretty good. Well, give a shout out to your friend in Korea. That is a very interesting name they were born with, but a huge shout out to them, and I hope they are enjoying watching the stream if they're real. And if someone really does have a name,
they're definitely not real.
If someone really has a name like that, I would be blown away. So, I'm kind of on like the side of, they're probably not real. So, which, let's drop down in a random place in Korea and let's see what it looks like. Like right here. Not a lot of Google Street View out there. What in the world? We're in a tunnel. Hang on, let me go out here. Let me see what it's like. Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Wow, those are really high, like berms on the side of that road.
Yeah. Let's look at this here.
What is that a sign of?
A
bump.
It's a boy.
Or mine, one of the other.
Landmine. Mine and you blow from a mine. But
what kind of car is that sitting over there in that parking lot, by the way?
Mercedes?
I think it might be a Genesis.
What? No.
I think that actually is a dealership. Oh, no, wait a minute. It says cafe. And a bunch of stuff behind.
That's a dealership. According to Matthew, the Starbucks, your local Starbucks, is a dealership.
Dealership of coffee.
Coffee. You want some more coffee? Oh, wait a minute. Is this a military airbase? Well, humdinger, we found a military airbase just out of the blue. What kind of aircraft? F-5s? I feel like these are F-5s of a sort. I can't really tell for certain. They only have 3 aircraft at this airfield. Maybe more here in the hangars, but interesting. Interesting. We found one out of the blue, out of nowhere. Let's see if there's another one that we can find. I'm about to get all caught up in trying to like find air bases in Korea. But with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, and up next, we have another $5 super chat from Harry Knuckles, who does not leave a comment this time. And thank you once again. We do appreciate that support. And up next, we have a $5 super chat from Tom Slick, who says, I'd wear it.
Man, this be tripping. Thank you so much for the support. And I'd wear it too. I don't know what it is, but I'd wear it. I back you up 100%. And so with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support.
All right, and the next one goes to the B93, who puts in a $5 donation and says, I think the Ukrainians need speed loaders for ammo, given the human wave attacks that the Russians keep attempting. More ammo/ammo delivery, please.
I think that would be cool. I think speed loaders would be pretty neat. There was actually this cool little thing. I'm trying to think of what it was called. It was on Forgotten Weapons. It was a gun where I forgot what it was, but you had to mount the autoloader, well, the speed loader, to a tree, and it had a lever on it. You would sit there and crank the lever and put ammo into like this tray that would feed down into it, and it would speed load these magazines in seconds. It was a larger caliber gun as well. It was like getting close to 50 caliber, I think. Massive, but it was a really cool thing. But moving on from that into the practical, I think that they should get speed loaders for like AR-15 M4 magazines. I keep on calling it an AR-15. AK magazines and such things like that, because I think that would definitely help out in firefights and help them to continue the volume of fire that they had at the onset of the fight. And so with that, I hope that does.
Have you ever seen the like the table speed loaders? It's like a wooden board that you can put the shells onto.
Yeah, and
like,
you get like the block and you slide it and it like loads it all in
Yeah.
like a second. Yeah, those are pretty
It's
cool.
so satisfying.
Those are pretty cool. I don't think they would work though in combat, but they are super cool to watch. Like it's like, oh my god, it's like those ultra satisfying videos, you know, where the guy gets like the knife and he like shaves off the perfect cut of wood or something. You know, it's like that.
With the fire knife in butter.
Yeah, it's just like that actually. Yeah. But with that, I hope that does address the comment fairly well, and thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running.
All right. And with that being said, we're moving on to our next one, which is from Avari Mandubratis, who puts in a $10 donation and says, could you look at Drumwalt Castle in Scotland and check out the street view and pictures? Maybe use your Scots voice in the commentary. It has significance to my ancestors, and the area locks are nice too.
Let's see. Wait, how's this
what
spelled?
In the world?
This one?
Yes, Drumwalt Castle.
Let's take a look, Sonny. Dang it. It won't let us see it. 1 second. Drumwalt Castle. The only castle for Scots to live at. Let's see what it looks like. Two different castles here. 15th century keep, 16th century tower house. They are enclosed in a large courtyard. The callus is on the callus. That's a mix in between a castle and a palace. The callus is on flat ground. There doesn't appear to be any ditches surrounding the talus. Let me see here. I'm gonna try the Scottish accent. I'm sorry, y'all. To be honest with you, I'm kind of feeling a little peaked tonight. So it's kind of hard for me to do the voices, but we'll give it a shot. We're not going to give up. The older tower is a plan rectangular tower, 4 stories plus an attic. If it had a roof, walk, and 2 corbelled out parapets, the latter turret dates from the late 16th century, nearly 200 years later. It's also a simple rectangle, but the walls are thinner, windows are larger, and the upper story has no decoration. A number of buildings have been added within the courtyard, including the gatehouse and the hosen block. The whole castle, courtyard, outbuildings, courtyard wall, and towers have been carefully restored after falling to ruins in the 18th century. It has changed the layout of the earlier towers substantially. The entrance into the kitchens is relatively unchanged, but the floors above are restored as a residence. That was terrible, awful. I hated it. But I thank you so much.
That was actually pretty good.
I thought it was terrible, man. I was like, this is the worst. But I hope you enjoyed that, Avari Mandubratis. I don't know if that was good or not. Y'all let me know if it was. But with that, thank you so much once again for the support. I hope you enjoyed us doing that. And let's take a little bit of a better look at this castle. Draw castle. There's not really a lot on the castle. It's kind of like, you know, castles in Britain and France are kind of like a 1 in a million thing. You find 100 of them everywhere you go, especially compared to America. This is really the best website there is about it. But still, I mean, like, really cool all around. And so with that, thank you so much once again for supporting it. In case you didn't know, Avari, I play bagpipes, and I haven't said that a lot often, but back in the day, I actually used to have the entire Piper's, like, uniform, like, if you want to call it a uniform. Let me see, what is it called? The Scots Guards Bagpiper. Let me find a picture of these guys, and, so to explain what mine looks like without wearing it and taking a picture of it, mine looked like these guys right here. Had the exact same helmet. It's the ostrich feather helmet. You have the Piper's plaid, which wraps all the way around your upper chest. But my kilt's tartan was a Black Watch Ancient, I believe. And I still have it all. I can still wear it and put it on and everything. It's just I haven't done it in years. But it was the exact same uniform that these guys wear. It's just that it was a different tartan. And that's something very interesting about the names, because a lot of people get tartan, plaid, and let's see, what's the other one? Tartan, plaid, and kilt, I believe. They get all three of them confused. But a tartan is the design. The plaid is the thing that it's pretty much a cape. One of them can wrap around your body. That's the full Piper's plaid. The other one is a fly plaid, which you only clip to the epaulette at the top of the doublet. And then there's, I believe, a couple of others. And then the kilt is what you wear down here, pretty much what people would call a skirt. And that is what the kilt is. So they're all three very different from each other. And also Scottish, like, culture, it's very interesting, very unique, actually, in its own right, from English culture and Welsh culture specifically, because English and Welsh culture beyond the 1200s really becomes the same thing for the large part, because the English just imposed English culture on the Welsh. But they were having a bit of a resurgence of Welsh culture. They have some neat things for themselves, but the Scottish really have some cool stuff. And a decent amount of our family actually comes from Scotland. We can't say the last name of them, you know, for reasons.
Oh, we were from Wales.
We are from Wales, but, you know, we did the DNA test, and interestingly enough, when we break down the DNA, we are something like I believe 50% Welsh, 20-something% English, and then we're like 18% Scottish and Irish, and then I think, if I'm correct, all that would total up to around 89%, and then the remaining 11% of our heritage is Swedish and Norwegian, with 9% of that being Swedish, and then the remaining 2% being Norwegian. We know that that part of the family, well, that part of the bloodline largely came in during the later 1800s, somewhere around the 1880s or 1890s. Some Swedish immigrants came to America, married into, I guess you could say, eventually what would become me, and, well, my lineage, and that's where the Swedish part of the family comes from. So, you know, largely my Swedish history can be traced back to the 1880s, 1890s. But really, honestly, I consider that to be probably one of the best parts of Swedish history and Norwegian history, but largely I'm British through and through, so, you know, I have a little bit of credit to all the cultures. But, you know, and I like this. I like this for one thing, the DNA test, and proving that I'm largely British, because I'm not one of those people, you know, who go like, I'm 1/100th Scottish, so I'm like Braveheart. No. Like, I'm like 90% British, you know, of all of it, all of the island nations. So you can sit there and be like, yeah, I'm like pretty much British, you know, at least DNA wise, although I'm pretty much full-blood American. And so with that, I hope that does address that fairly well, and thank you so much once again, Avari, for the support. And also, I hope you enjoyed that fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And our next one goes to the entire family who pays us a visit once again. It's Billy, Joe, Carl, Bob, Danny, and Frank. They put in at two $5 super chats, and the first one says, incoming, new message from the Cake Goons from yesterday. Say the following with that thick Russian accent. Let's see here. Got to send this over to the enforcer real quick.
Ivan. What the hell are you doing in my swamp?
There.
Great Mother Russia, who bless our souls. Our father did, yours cake. What, you don't want? Girl, you better accept cake, or I'll have to bring your family Yet another one. Oh, блядь. That is hardcore Slav maxing. And I gotta thank you so much for the support. I hope that was a decent one. I feel like I feel like my voices are getting worse as the night goes on, but I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that was good in passing at least. And also, that was hardcore, man. Did you know what he meant by that?
I'm trying to understand it still. I don't really understand it.
If the girl does not accept the cake, he's going to kill her and bring her family a second cake for her.
Oh, okay. Wow. Billy, Joe, Carl, Bob, Danny, and Frank. Which one of y'all is hardcore like that?
The family is getting dark. But with that, thank you so much for the support. And we on to the next one, but I want to thank the whole family for being here.
All right, so on to the next one. We have a $5 super chat from Anthony Bestwick. He says, this is for Matt to upgrade his gun. Maybe get a BB gun or a water pistol. Either would be a good upgrade. Anthony, are you talking about the honey badger?
Oh, he just roasted it.
But the honey badger is rare. It's cool. It can be shot suppressed. The honey badger's lightweight. It can fit in a backpack. How can you ask for a better gun? It's accurate. I know it looks like a toy, but it looks clean. It looks like a piece of art.
I've got to be honest with you. I gotta agree with you. I'm not really a big fan of the honey badger, to be honest with you. I gotta be honest with you. Matthew knows this. I'm one of those kind of people. I guess you could call me a little bit of an old spirit. I like my guns to be about 50 pounds heavy, made of solid steel, covered in wood. The most modern gun I bought in terms of its year production was a CZ coach gun, which I'll show y'all right here. It was this one. Oh no, it wasn't actually. It was hidden hammers, not exterior hammers. Let me find it. Dang, I can't find it. It's literally over there. I'm looking at it. I can't find a picture of it to show y'all. But still, I'm into old guns. So I'm not really a big fan of those. I am a big fan of old original, like Colt M16 A1s. I believe if I'm thinking of the correct one. Not quite. Well, let me see. Oh, I put in M6. That's probably why. Let me put this in.
I saw somebody say a foul.
Ooh, those things are beautiful. FN foul.
FN makes some nice guns.
They really made a nice one here. This is an FN foul. Otherwise known as the L1A1 or the British service rifle. It was also the service rifle of the Belgians for a good while, and this thing is just solid. I love these things. Really want to get one day. They're really hard to find, but once you get one, you usually stick them around forever. You can see this one with polymer furniture, instead of wood. I like wood better on everything. I think wood makes a gun look complete. I like this one here. It's beautiful. It's just... Oh, actually, that's an airsoft one. Forget that. And that one's in a game. Forget that. Where in the world are the real ones? I'm going to have to go back to the top of the page. This one here, love them. I think these things are great. I love them a lot. But if I had to get an AR-15 style gun, I would get this one here. I really like the original M16s, the way they looked with the triangular handguard on the front. I think they're really cool. I would get one of these if I could, but once again, my tastes are expensive in guns, and these things cost
I would say
way more than even the best modern AR-15 designs. How much does that actually cost? Because that's on Colt's website. Let me go check real quick.
Oh, the actual replica?
Ooh! Oh, yeah. Man! That thing is way... Whew! I understood doing that for the Tommy gun, because y'all wanted me to do it, and we'll eventually make a video on it. And also, it was really unique. But, like... I can only see putting maybe at max 1,500 into this, maybe 1,200, not 2,500, and also with the unreliability of Colt's, I guess you could say quality control, that really adds a whole lot extra to that price, because,
Also, I saw Anthony saying the live chat, he said it's a toy. Try a man's gun. Well, Anthony, I do have more than just that one gun. I also have a Daniel Defense M1 A1. Also, I meant M4A1, by the way, misspoke. I also have a Glock pistol, and I know somebody's going to roast me for having the Glock, but If honestly, if I could get 2 more guns and didn't have to worry about the price of the guns, which obviously that's a huge factor, I would go for an FN Scar and also for an FN FNX pistol, the tactical version, if I could get 2 more. But both of those guns are insanely expensive.
The guns I have, to guide y'all through my gun collection, because Matthew just told you all about his, let me tell you all about mine. I have a 1903 A1 made by Remington in the year 1942. It looks just like this one, actually. Except mine actually has the little hand grooves where you can put your hand when you're holding the gun, like this one. It is clean. Like, if y'all ever see it and I ever make a video about it, it's cleaner than this one. Like, you'll just have to see it. The other gun I have is a Krag Jorgensen. You know, because, you know, I gotta get old guns. I have this one. This would have been the same gun. They used a carbine version, though, in the Rough Riders, but this is the exact same gun that would have won the day at the Battle of San Juan Hill, along with the Springfield trapdoors that were used there as well for the large part. This thing was kind of in smaller numbers, but I got this one, and then I've got a Brown Bess, which is an old flintlock musket, used during the Revolutionary Wars. You can see one right here. Mine is also a reproduction. I think I got mine, though, from... Let's see... I think it was from Military Heritage. I'm not sure.
Somebody struck me. Somebody did it. I knew they were going to say it. Somebody said Glock equals combat Tupperware.
Ugh. They got you. They did it. They really did it. Let's see. What else do I got? I got the CZ shotgun. I also got a Colt 1858 Army revolver. Nope, sorry. It's actually the Navy revolver. Sorry. If I'm correct. Let me check. Nope, no, actually, I think it's an 1848 Dragoon. Let me check that out, because I think that is the one. Let's see. Dragoon. Wow, I can't even remember what model of flintlock, oh, not flintlock, percussion cap pistol that is. But I have it. It's over there. I can see it. I also got a 22 MP5. One of these right here, you know, for fun. I also got a Weatherby SA 459. This was all saving up like Publix money to get these things, and I was like bankrupt all the time, because I was like, man, you know, like back in that time, I didn't live in Birmingham. I lived somewhere else, so there were like shooting ranges all over. You could just drive to them. And then you had this one, and then behind me I have the Auto Ordnance 1928 Thompson. Right. It's like, let me find a good picture of it. What the hell is this?
What?
Ew. But it's like this one, pretty much. It looks like that. So that's my collection. It's really taken me forever to make a collection like this. Like, it took a lot of good looking and searching, and now those plans have kind of been thwarted if I ever wanted to pursue it a little bit more, because now I have to wait like a month to buy a gun. You know, I have to buy the gun and then sit there for a month to wait for the time that I can get it. So now I really can't do this as easily as I used to. But one gun I have always been wanting to get is well, there are 2 of them actually, that are like on my bucket list to get. A Springfield trapdoor, which is just a pretty much Civil War era rifled, percussion cap rifle that was converted into a trapdoor. So you flip open the trapdoor and you put in like a 4570 cartridge, and then you close it, and it operates kind of like a normal gun, a normal modern gun at that point. And then a Sharps rifle. Now, I didn't know about Quigley Down Under when I originally wanted to get the Sharps rifle. I was more so into its legacy in the West as being like the go-to heavy-hitting gun that a lot of people, like citizens, would own. Like this one here. Really cool gun. But they're so, you know, once again, incredibly expensive. And I've got better things to save up for, like law school and college. So these things will probably be stuff I get like 20 years down the road. But they're so cool, and I really can't wait one day to finally flesh out the collection with those last 2, which will really round the whole thing out for me. But with that, I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And with that, we are on to the next one. How many super chats do we have left, by the way, Matthew? Also, wait, real quick, Scarlett just said, my dream gun is an M1 Garand. I actually had an M1 Garand at a time. It was from the CMP, just like this one right here. That one's actually probably from the CMP because the stock's a little too new. And it also doesn't have like that like staining to it, so it's probably from the CMP and they're just reselling it. This was a cool gun. I really liked it. I hate that I got rid of it. I got rid of it because I wanted to go and get the 1903 instead, so I sold this and then got a 1903. But oh man, is this a cool gun. Forget the ping. You can't even hear the ping when you shoot it, but it was great. I really love this gun, and it's definitely a gun that you should put like as the top of your list if you wanted one. I was a huge fan of it, loved it, and if I can ever find the time or get the time to get one again, I probably will, and I'll keep it this time instead of just, you know, getting rid of it for honestly my gun that I like a little bit more than 1903. But with that, I hope that does answer the question fairly well, and we'll on to the next one.
Alrighty, so up next we have a super chat from D's Nuts.
D's Nuts, I got
He puts in a $5 donation and says, "I'm back for my quarterly donation. Great work, boys."
And thank you so much, D's Nuts, for the support, and thank you for helping us to keep this channel running. If it wasn't for D's Nuts, it wouldn't be possible to keep this channel running. So I got to thank you so much once again for the support and helping us to keep it going. Of course, quarterly, after all. And so with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you so much once again for the support and helping this channel to keep on running.
And to round off our super chats, we have a $4 donation from Chaotic, a $2 donation from Dupper Bob, a $2 donation from Joe Little, and also one from Dubsy Dabster. Thank you very much to all four of you for the support. You all have been around forever, and we do appreciate it very much. And that rounds off our super chats. So with that being said, we are going to quickly answer this poll that I put up. It's only been up for a second. It looks like, well, let me read off the question first. Have you shot the Desert Eagle 50 or the 500 Magnum or any of the other large caliber pistols? 71% said no, I haven't. Actually, 72% say no, they haven't. 28% said yes, I have. So surprisingly, a pretty good number of folks have shot the wrist-breaking pistols. I haven't, and I'm not sure if I want to shoot those because they look a little outrageous. But, Enforcer, what do you think?
I would like to shoot one day. I'm never adverse to shooting anything. In case y'all didn't know, I mean, since Matthew fooled me earlier on stream, I'm actually going to share, like Psyops has always wanted, a dirty secret about Matthew. Matthew will not shoot anything above 5.56 in caliber. He refuses.
That's true.
He hasn't. Like, I go and shoot 12 gauge, 30-06, shot 50 caliber before in an M2 machine gun, shot, let me think, 7.92, I believe, if that's the correct caliber for the MG42. And I actually shot an MG42, and of course an auto, it's a machine gun. And I've done it all. Matthew has only shot, I believe, AR-15s, I believe a Henry 22 lever action, and that's it. So he's a real big AR-15 guy. Also, he shot 9mm. So, you know, that's something weird to me because
that's all I need. That's all I need. 9mm and 5.56.
But you see, hear me out, everyone. That's something weird to me because I'm a person who, once I get into like a hobby or a field or something, I have to explore everything about it. So I had to go and shoot every caliber possible that you can actually shoulder and fire to get an idea of what I liked. And I found out that what I like is larger cartridges around 30-06. I really like that range. I think that's like the best caliber to shoot, in my opinion. I like that a lot. But Matthew has never explored the gun world and like what kind of recoil feels like what, or what kind of shooting's what. He's never shot skeet. He's never shot trap or anything like that with shotguns. Like, I want to one day. I really want him to do it because I know it's super fun. I've done it all. But he just shoots 5.56 and that's it. 5.56 or 22.
It's true. And 9mm and 300 black. But you know, they're all about the same, like, you know, sort of round a little bit. 9mm, 5.56. They're all sort of like the lighter rounds, I guess you could say.
True. And so with that, we are on to the... Also, Bilbo Jenkins, if you have a CMP range near you, they'll sell that for $1 a round. It's a steal. At least the last time I went there, they did. And so with that, we are on to the next one. But you're right, 30-06 is expensive. So that's why I don't shoot it much either. But on to the next one.
All right. And up next, we have a $5 donation from Anthony Bestwick once again. He says, being Welsh, only ever use Lee Enfield, Bren light machine gun, L1A1 Browning, 9mm A&S SA-80, L85A1, and yes, I was Army.
And thank you so much for the support also. Cool to hear that you were in the British Army. I think that's really neat. And also, I gotta say, you got quite an extensive rapport of guns you shot. Of course, all British. And I gotta say to you, I was so close to shooting a Bren. And I love the Brins. I think they look really cool. But I never got to shoot it. Because, you know, it's expensive to shoot these things. It was like $50 to shoot a clip out of this thing. And I was like, nah, I was like, you know, it's cool, but it's not $50 cool, you know?
Somebody was trying to be different by putting the mag on the top like that.
Oh, get out of here. It wasn't that unique. I mean, like, the Madsen gun had that. Let me show you that, the Madsen gun.
I don't know about that. I think I like the mags on the bottom.
I honestly think the mags on the top of the gun are pretty cool. And I think the Bren is a really cool gun. I wanted to shoot it. I never got to shoot this one, though. But it does shoot 303, I believe. So if you've shot the Lee Enfield or anything that shoots 303, you kind of shot this as well, in a way, with recoil. Although this is heavier. And also, I have wanted to get a Lee Enfield, but I finally subsided my want for a Lee Enfield. The Mark III, not the Mark IV. I don't like the Mark IV with the little piece of the barrel that protrudes past the wood furniture. I like this one. And the reason why I've given up on this is that in the United States, at least here in Alabama, 303 is around $2.50 a round, and I can never justify shooting $2.50 out of the front of a gun per shot. It's just too much for me, but I really love these guns, and also they have a very smooth bolt, very good action on them. And so with that, thank you so much once again for the support. I hope that does address the comment fairly well. And thank you so much for serving in the British Army. A very good army, if there ever has been one. And so with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, so moving on to our live chats, because that was our last super chat, we have the Morse code. And tonight, it's only one person that has sent it in. And Mark almost didn't send it in. It was sent in very late. But I was wondering where it was. I was like, are we not going to have the Morse code for one night? But we got it. And Mark says, the Morse code message tonight reads, if Russia attacks Kyiv twice, till go and buy cryptocurrency. I won't actually. Slava Ukraine.
Thank you so much for deciphering it. Was he the only one?
He was the only one tonight, and I thought we weren't going to get it at all.
Where did all of our Morse code decoders go? They went on holiday. They're all taking a bank holiday or something. But thank you so much, Mark Hodges. Of course, you've done it every day. You've done it without fail. Never skipped a day. And I got to thank you so much for decoding it again. And if the Russians do launch an attack in the northern area, I will actually be surprised. Of course, I'm not going to buy crypto. Obviously not the trading cards, which we talked about earlier on stream. Because, you know, like, just talking about that objectively, is that, like, cringe or what? I mean, like, I haven't... I'm looking.
It's an NFT, you said?
Have you seen it?
Let me look it up, because honestly, if it's an NFT, a lot of those are scams, and hopefully people don't fall for that. I don't even care if it's political or not. Don't fall for scams, folks.
Well,
I think that
you wouldn't believe this, Matthew. This was actually on the official Rumble account.
Let's see.
And I'm looking at it, and you won't believe what it looks like. I mean, like, you know.
Oh my God. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, so real quick, everyone, you know, because I have my own personal tastes and opinions beyond politics, but this is extremely narcissistic, to say the least, to have NFTs made like this, you know? Like, if you see what I'm talking about, you know.
Yeah.
And I gotta be honest with y'all, not really a good look. That's like me, like, making a t-shirt where the enforcer, like, has his hand over Ukrainian soldiers on the front line, shielding them from bullets. That would be, like, similar, you know, and we don't do anything like that. We purposely avoid doing anything like that. So, you know, on just a personal level, doesn't really jive with me. Also, is that really, like, self-assuming or what, to paint yourself as, like, a Superman or something like that, you know? Like, you know.
And guess what? And the money is going directly to the fella. It's not going to his campaign. Isn't that kind of interesting?
That is.
That actually says a lot of things in one action.
And you know, I'm almost on the verge of saying, you know, well, I'll just say, I'm not really a big fan of what the modern political scene has turned into. Y'all know that, so that's why I don't really talk about politics much. And that's really largely the reason why, because almost everyone in the political stage these days is largely of the same caliber, regardless of what party they come from. So, and with that, we are on to the next one.
Let's see here. I was just reading something real quick. I might have something interesting to add, but I think that'd be getting too political. So I'll pass on that. But anyways, moving back to our live chat questions. Up next, we have one from JJ who says, "How many men would it take to operate the Patriot?"
I don't really know. I have no idea. Let's pull it up. Patriot missile. Patriot missile system. Let's see here. The Patriot. It doesn't say the crew. Right here. Crew of a Patriot missile system. I feel like it'd be like 4 people probably. Can't really find a number. Requiring dozens of personnel to operate them. Dang, that's actually a lot. I would have to. They say a lot of people are saying a minimum of 3, and I would believe that to be true. But apparently, to operate the whole system, probably with the radar included, it takes dozens. So to operate the whole system, dozens. But I would assume that the launchers themselves only need like 3 or 4 people. And so with that, I hope that does address the question fairly well, at least based off of what we can find. And with that, we are on to the next one. Also, Mark, even though you were half awake, you were the only one here who did it, and I got to thank you so much for that, because I would have been in complete disbelief if we hadn't gotten one decoded one night. I would have really started questioning whether they were worth doing, because no one would even know what they meant. So I got to thank you so much for just doing it regardless, Mark, even if you were just half awake. And so with that, we are on to the next one.
And also, I saw Barry Mundy saying in the live chat, NFTs make absolutely no sense to me, but I'm old, LOL. Trust me, Barry, it has nothing to do with being old, young, or in between. NFTs don't make any sense, and I don't know why people were paying to get a picture that can be ruined with one screenshot. And there's all kinds of people that'll try to sell you on you're like buying a piece of code, it's unique. That's just a bunch of bullcrap, if you ask me. It's just NFTs are another form of money laundering.
And also the whole NFT market imploded on itself a little while ago, and now NFTs are mostly worthless. Ones that were like millions of dollars like months ago, they are now worth like $100 or something similar. So I honestly, I gotta be honest with y'all, my personal financial opinion is that I wouldn't ever go and invest in things, or anything for that matter. A lot of people are into stocks, and I've watched many people around me get into the stock market wanting to make some kind of money, and usually they just break even or they end up losing it all.
There's nothing wrong with the stock market, but I would say crypto, NFTs, and things like that, I would say no.
Me honestly, this is my personal financial opinion. Just work really hard, save up your money, and that's how you make money and save it. I'm not really into investing in anything and hoping for a return and gambling it or risking it. I'm just more into hard work actually paying off instead of, some kind of idea of potential get rich quick kind of thing. That's just me though. And there are people who have made a killing on the stock market, don't get me wrong, but I feel like those people are few and far in between. Just to me, that's my opinion. But with that, we are on to the next one.
All right. So up next, we have a question from XMojo. Let's see, more of a statement, who says, "I just read the guy is facing court-martial for striking the officer."
Oh, really? That's interesting. That's the first time we've ever seen discipline instilled into the Russian military, which is bizarre. And if that is the case, let us know, XMojo, since you're keeping apprised of that. Let us know what happens to that guy once the court-martial is concluded, if you can. And so with that, we are on to the next one. And thank you for letting us know that, XMojo.
All right, and up next, we have a question from Mark Tremblay, who says, "Enforcer, besides the nuke threat, what else can Russia do to escalate the war?"
I would say that the next thing the Russians could do to escalate the war is these 3 things: biological, nuclear, chemical. And nuclear, of course, is excluded because we're excluding that one. So biological or chemical weapons will escalate the war further and lead to Western intervention. And so that's really the only way at this point that they could make the West get involved. And so with that, we are on to the next one.
And the next question goes to Thomas O'Hanlon, who says, "Enforcer, when do you think the U.S. will send any attack helicopters?"
I don't know. We've sent them Mi-17, so we already know that we've sent them quasi-attack helicopters, but I don't know if we'll ever send them anything like AH-1Zs or AH-64s. I don't know if we'll send those ever. Maybe there's some national security reasons as to why we wouldn't, but I feel like really, honestly, there's nothing holding us back from doing that because we've already sent them MI-17s and there was no problem with that. And so with that, I hope that answers the question. Also, Nate said, one of the few bad takes I heard from the enforcer, if you invest, do it on a wide index and don't take it out. Leave it until you retire. And I will actually bash myself a little bit. It's probably a bad take. My honest reason why I don't like getting into the idea of investing into stocks and stuff is that it's a gamble. And I'm not really one for gambling. You know, not for a moral stamp. Go ahead.
Although I'll clarify what you're saying just a little bit. Day trading and short-term trading is gambling. And some folks are going to say, no, it's not. But yes, the truth of the matter is, you can look at indicators all you want all day long. It's still gambling. Long-term investing is where it's at. So you're putting your money in, parking it for a very long time, like for years and years and years until you retire. That's the way to do it. That makes sense. And don't like set it and forget it into stable stocks. But I saw some folks saying that investing is the only way to get rich and stay that way. That's not necessarily true. I've seen a lot of people lose their shirts that have invested most of their savings. So
Matthew
I don't know. I'm a person that always believes in keeping some cash in a savings account.
Matthew actually knows people that it's happened to, and I've also sat by and watched it happen to several people as well, because that was the whole thing in high school when we were growing up is, oh, look, I'm like on Robinhood or something and I'm investing in day trading and stuff, and kids would sit there in the middle of class and be like, I just lost $200, and they just would permanently lose it, like, and they would never get it back because, you know, day trading is a massive risk. And that's generally what I think about when stock investing. You know, of course, investing them into stocks that sit there long term, of course, you'll make money on that. But how much? Will it just be practically adjusting for inflation over that period of time, or will it actually be income? That's really hard to tell. And, you know, you can only tell that over the course of several years, depending on the certain stock, the certain industry it's involved with, and how that's doing. And then, you know, of course, you can invest in small companies like the people who invested in Apple, and then Apple blew up and you make a killing. You just don't really know. And that's kind of my view on it, you know, probably to flesh it out a little bit more. I'm just more so, really, honestly, I find the best way to the best way to make my money through investments would generally just be to put it in the bank or get a certificate of deposit. And considering that the interest rates are so freaking high right now, that's a pretty good option, at least from what I know. I don't have a lot of financial knowledge, however. That's probably why I go with the simple idea of just make it and save it. So with that, and also, I wonder if that adds any credibility. People are like, well, you know, if I send them a super chat, it's just going into a bank to sit there for 9 years. But with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, so up next, and back to Ukraine, the next question goes to Jerry, who says, Matt, question for you guys. I heard today that Putin is trying to change the law about getting government approval to fire nukes. He would bypass the entire approval process. Have you heard anything about that?
I have not, and I believe that the way the Russian system works is that the president of the country has the ultimate say if they're launched. I don't think it has to go through a chain of command kind of thing. It's very similar to the president of the United States, where if he deems the nuke should be launched, they just go ahead and start the launching process. But then again, in Russia, there's also the extra level that the battery commanders actually have say in whether they fire them or not, which adds a whole other layer, because while the president of Russia can say fire them, then a battery commander can go no, and then they're not fired. So with that, I hope that answers that question fairly well, at least based off of what we know. And with that, we are on to the next one.
And the next question goes to Franco, who says, Enforcer, if this is an existential war, Russian troops and Belarusian troops would head toward Kyiv, and the question is, do you use a small nuke first or after?
Can you reread that one again so I can understand it?
Franco says, if this is an existential war, Russian troops and Belarusian troops would head toward Kyiv, and the question is, do you use a small nuke first or after?
I honestly don't know how to answer that question. I would have to declare ignorance on that one, but that is a really good one, and I think that's worth discussing in the live chat for sure. And so with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, so up next we have a question from Marcel, who says, Ukraine official intelligence put out the message they were preparing for an offensive. Ain't it safe to assume they got people over there in Russia who collect viable intelligence?
Yes, there are people who probably collect viable intelligence. It's most likely not even people on the ground anymore. It's probably satellites that are getting the information and images showing that there may be buildups, perhaps, and that's what they're working off of. But beyond that, I would say that their information is probably decently accurate, or this may be a supposition based off of seeing these guys sitting in camps. Because it wouldn't make any sense for bars to say one thing and then someone else in the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense to say that these forces are not being brought up as replenishments. They're a brand new force that'll be used elsewhere. That's a little bit of a juxtaposition based off of one person to the other, and it shows that the interpretation of the information may be different. But with that, I hope that answers the question fairly well, and we are on to the next one.
Also, shout out to Stealth Eye for putting in a $3 super chat, and thank you very much for that, and thank you for that super sticker of the YouTube pair putting up that very large hand with a thumbs up. Thank you. So thank you. Also, let's see. I see a lot of buzz about strategic bombers being launched from Russia going toward Ukraine. So a lot of people are saying that. So maybe that'll be on Twitter because I don't see a news story about it.
Let me pull that up on my second screen. Twitter. Bombers.
Let's see.
We're seeing a lot about the Bombers baseball team.
Oh, we got a cam bot.
Oh, get it, Matthew. Get it. Yeah. One down. 9 million to go. Let's see here.
Oh, Tinder? Our girl's right first. What the hell?
What?
What does that even mean?
I don't know. Let's see. I can't find anything about the bombers though.
I don't see anything either.
Ukraine. If someone could tell us where y'all saw that, maybe we could find it from there. Let me see if the defense of Ukraine has it on there. Last thing they posted was 8 hours ago. And let's see, we'll go to the main Ukraine page. We're going to make sure to run all the rounds over here on the second screen just to make sure that we're looking everything correctly. And they haven't posted anything ever since December 6th. So I haven't seen anything there, but if y'all see something, let us know. So with that, we
definitely need a source because I don't see anything on Twitter either.
Certainly. And so with that, we are on to the next one.
And our next one is going to go to Jen Marr, who says, Enforcer, did you know that the Screaming Eagles are in Poland and that Poland has patriots of its own? Both would be across the border if Kyiv was attacked.
Yes. Actually, from what we knew last, and they may have moved in between then and now, I thought the 101st was in Romania. The last we heard they were, but they may have been moved into Poland along with other weapons and units of the U.S. military. And if they're needed, I count on the 101st to do incredible. They've always done great. They've always been one of the best units in the U.S. Army, and so there's no reason to doubt their abilities now. And so with that, I thank you so much once again for letting us know that, and I can't wait to see that if they were, well, actually, I can wait, really, because if they're used, then things have gotten really bad, but if it did begin, I couldn't wait to see what the 101st would do to the Russians, because it would make what the Ukrainians did to them look like a joke. And so with that, we are on to the next one. Also, they're saying that Kyiv Independent's reporting it, so let's see.
And I'm looking at it right now. I'm seeing 2 minutes ago they said on Twitter that the Mykolaiv Oblast governor has reported that Russian forces launched about 60 missiles, and the first ones have entered the region.
Let's see. Forces launched about 60 missiles. Let's see.
But nothing about bombers, though.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything about bombers. We're going to keep an eye on that until the stream ends here, literally in a minute. But speaking of which, it's time for us to get on to the last question of the night. And so, who's the lucky last person who threw in the lucky last question of the night?
And that person is Manfred, who says, Enforcer, after this war, do you think Russia would split up into separate countries or states in 3 to 5 years' time? There's a YouTube about it.
I think that they wouldn't. There's not really a lot for them to break into, and most of these areas in the east are so poor that they rely on the Central Russians for the scraps that they give out every once in a while. There will be a couple of breakaways though that are obvious, like Dagestan and also Chechnya. I believe that they would break away eventually, but the rest of the country would largely remain intact because culturally there's not enough differences. I know that there's like deep down some differences, but on the surface level there isn't enough anymore because, you know, the Soviet Union really shipped the culture out of everyone there. And so I would largely say the worst you would see is that Dagestan and Chechnya would fracture off, and then the rest of the country would largely remain a whole for the most part. And so with that, I hope that does answer that question fairly well. And guess what? We have reached the end of tonight's stream. I thank you all so much once again for watching. It's been an absolutely incredible night, both through the question segment and the news segment as well. And I hope you all have enjoyed watching as much as I've enjoyed reporting the news. If you did, make sure to hit the like button and also subscribe. It helps out this channel a whole load, and it helps us to keep this thing running. And so with that, thank you all once again. I hope you all have a great night. Stay safe, take care, and good luck. And also, Slava Ukraini.
Yes.
The Lviv Spring Army sends its regards.
Ще не вмерла України ні слава, ні воля. Ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці. Запануємо ми, браття, у своїй сторонці. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького роду. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що